All right. So I want to first off say thank you to all of you folks because you guys are patrons of the Game and BS podcast, and it is awesome that you support us. We're just two idiots out of out of Wisconsin that talk about gaming. I've been doing so for 6 years, so I'm really really glad and thankful that you guys are here and that you're supporting us in that way. So thank you guys. Before I get into the bits and pieces of the game itself, let's go through and do a quick introduction so we know who everybody is. So let's start with Nat. Who is Nat? Who's playing? Who are you? What are you playing? And so forth.
I'm Harrigan, guys. Been playing games a long time, and I'm playing Nat today. Nat is a bard. I have never played a bard before, though, despite my decades of role playing. So we'll see how this goes today. Brett, you want kind of an overview of the character and his personality, that kind of thing?
Sure, if you got it.
Okay. Booming voice, barrel chest. This is not an elf with a lute playing plink, plink, plink by the fireplace. This is the kind of guy who dominates a room and walks in and, I have stories to tell, and that sort of thing.
Nice.
He's also a debt-ridden drunken mess. He likes to drink. And whatever criminal organization you have in the background here, he owes them lots of money.
Oh, nice. I like it.
Yep. Rapier and a dagger, big old beard, and he's good to go.
Cool. Nice, John. All right, Robert, what do we got?
Hi, everybody. My name is Robert. Most people know me on social media as Nola Burt. I am playing Lore today. Lore is a wizard. He's a half-elf. He has a background coming from some money, but apparently something didn't go right with his family, and he's on the path to adventure. So that's where Lore is right now.
Cool. Mirko?
All right. Hey, I'm Mirko. I've also been playing for quite a while out here in California, and I'm playing Toad, the halfling warlock. So he's obviously a short fellow, and he's kind of the opposite of our bard. So he's a little bit more secretive and quiet, and you kind of get the sense there's something not quite right with him. And he's pretty secretive and tends to hide a little bit and a little shifty. And those of you that know him better might know that he sometimes wakes up in the middle of the night screaming and bathed in sweat, and so there's something haunting him.
Oh, nice. Cool. All right, Niall, you've got who?
So I will be playing Moth. Moth is the rogue of the party. He is a climber, a sneak, and a spy. He is well equipped. He's got an immovable rod, which he'll be using to get all over the place. He's also got a second-story work. So I imagine I'm going to spend a lot of time off the ground, sneaking around the place, not being seen, and trying my best to influence the game from the shadows.
Nice. Very cool. Tony?
I am playing the Reverend Cat, kind of a cleric, not technically a bard, but as full of it as one, a la Righteous Gemstones. So I plan on proclaiming your sins and my greatness as much as possible.
I like that. So you can follow Nat around and harangue Harrigan as he goes about his day. I like it. All right. Excuse me. Good Lord. So the game is going to take place in the massive city of Avalon. Avalon it's an urban crawl, urban adventure type of setting. So I'm going to go through this for a bit. Some of you on here have been kind enough to support the book when it came out and have read it. Other people haven't read it. That's fine. But here's the deal. It's massive. When I say massive, at its widest, maybe 50, 60 miles. At its longest, maybe that or perhaps even double. Depending on where you live and where you're located in your little neighborhood, you don't go that far. So the actual size, where the outer walls are, what's north, what's south, east, west of you, you don't really pay attention to a lot of that stuff. You're very focused on your neighborhood and the immediate surrounds of that. How do you make things better for the people in that area? And sometimes making things better for the people in that area are guys like Moth. They're like, well, I can make it better for me, and I'm a thief, right? So if I've stolen enough stuff, it's better for me. Therefore, I'm buying things or whatnot. So the other component of this is that if you think big city, a lot of pressed in, very, very tight feeling, right? So the buildings have that large rickety leaning in on themselves. If you've ever been on a forested trail where the trees kind of grow over, they form that nice little tunnel. That's how some of the buildings in the alleyways go, right? You can know your neighborhood fairly well, but you take a step outside of that, and some of the roads, the alleys, and the pathways will shift and twist because buildings will collapse, they'll fall in on each other, get moved, get changed. A market will pop up in an open area and it'll be full of street vendors, and then you have to walk around that, finding different paths and ways to get places. The roofs of Avalon have the Thieves Highway or the Skywalks. People scamper up those walls quite often, especially the rogues and other people who need to get somewhere fast. Oftentimes a single board track or even a bit of brick or shale as you can scamper across the different roofs between the chimneys to get from one place to another. Fairly common use, especially if you're trying to get somewhere fast and you don't have a lot of equipment with you. You're not, dragging a big cart or something like that. Within the city, most of the people here are commoners, and commoners are humans in D&D language, right? So that's your human. Your half-elves are considered nobles. The half-elves are viewed as, they've got the pointed ears, the almond-shaped eyes, a very kind of traditional fantasy look for elves, but they're not even viewed very much as elves per se. They're seen as a piece of nobility, something that in the Avalon's distant past that they have interbred. They're part of a race of people that is better than everybody else. Not every noble thinks that way, but it's often used that way. Your halflings are bargemen. Bargemen are, halflings by size. They're seagoing people. They travel almost completely by their massive barges, and they are very common in the southern port of Avalon near the dock ward. And that's where they come in, they trade, they move, and they do a lot of just, I guess trade is the biggest component of it. They're very savvy sales folks. They know how to get things from other places, and they travel farther and wider than almost anybody within the city of Avalon itself. Avalon keeps law and order through the magistrates. Of all the different noble families, the 13 top noble families are the magistrates. Their right hand are the griffins. The griffins are the city guard. You have different constables, sergeants, lieutenants, captains, commanders, and so on at different garrisons and such throughout the city. And they tend to be fairly easily corrupted insofar as you get pulled over. It's kind of like, hey, give me a couple silver pieces and I'll pretend this never happened. What the hell are you doing here? Slip me a copper kid and I'll let this go. The city, because of its size and its decadence, its age, corruption is it's common and it's nasty, right? So horrible things happen. People aren't always taken the best care of by the government or anything around them. The neighborhoods rely on themselves to make sure things are functioning properly. The Liché are the members of the Old Faith. They're the oldest druid-like priests, and they have, I've jokingly referred to, I'm assuming people are that bring out your dead cart from the old Monty Python movie, right? But they have corpse carts. They and their acolytes will come through, especially at certain times a year, and collect the dead, those who just couldn't quite make it. They died in the alleyways. They were knifed, old age, just too poor, right, to carry on. The common coinage that most people operate, it's a silver standard within the city. So if you were to find a gold piece is worth like 200 silver. So it's a lot. Gold is not very common, and many people, commoners especially, never see gold in their life. Let's see here. What other bits and pieces might we want to know? I think, the other component, the city is very guild oriented. So it's almost impossible for me to list every type of guild that's out there. But if you think about it, there's the Brotherhood of Sanitary Excavators. This is a group of men and women that take care of the underground river, the Styx that rolls and flows beneath the city. They help make sure that the drinking wells are good, that the midden wells are taken care of. They breed otyugs to help take care of a lot of the debris and things that gets thrown into the water, and they take care of those pieces. There are merchant guilds. There are brewers guilds. The Griffins themselves could be considered a guild. Any group of laborers and so on, blacksmiths and everything, coopers, sailors, rope makers, anyone that could band together to try to give themselves some strength and support in the city have done so. So that can come down to, turf wars. you have thieves guilds like the masks. The masks are very common in this area, and that would be who Nat owes money to most likely. The masks are going to operate within the neighborhood, and they're in control of all the licensed, quote unquote, pickpocketing, thievery, and so on. If you operate outside of their purview, that's not a good idea. It's like rolling into a different mafia don's location and trying to push drugs. It probably isn't going to go over so well. Let's see here. From a illicit things perspective, obviously alcohol, that type of thing is quite common. There's a drug called Lotus. So there's gray Lotus, purple, black, red, multiple different variations of Lotus. Those are not illegal, but they're very, very dangerous. Being a large walled city, it is very common to, you're going to have different types of food here, right? So it's a seaport city, plenty of seafood to be had. You will have pigs, chickens, geese, turkeys, things you can raise within the city and keep small. You don't get a lot of beef, right? You don't get a lot of venison from outside in the outlands. A lot of stuff that you're going to get here, excuse me, is going to be sea driven or stuff you can raise in a city. There are groves, different where the Lishe have their graveyards. They grow nuts and berries and things on those trees. You have the Urban Harvesters Guild, which helps to take care of that stuff. And you also have folks who raise mushrooms. So there's plenty of that. Let's see. So I think, generally speaking, think of a great big rundown beat the hell city. If anybody's played Warhammer, there's that kind of that Warhammer Decay kind of feeling to it. Now, where you guys come in, this is your neighborhood, right? This is a place where you're living, if not always, at least for now. And in order to make the best of that, you guys do what needs to be done in order to make sure things are taken care of. From that perspective, I usually say that having a flexible morality can be very helpful. Pragmatism is very common. From an alignment perspective, to drift into a rules piece here, folks, alignment is malleable, right? If you're a priest like Reverend Cat, you may try to hold a little stricter to the alignments, what's good, what's bad, and so forth. Other people may be a little more flexible in how they look at things. That's up to you. Let's see here. Oh, the other piece from a rules perspective, we're running 5e. When you look at your character sheet, you have all these different skills: acrobatics, athletics, intimidation, so on. Any one of those skills is a potential for investigation. So my example usually is you run down an alleyway chasing after some member of the Masks Guild. You run down that alleyway and he's gone. Where the hell did he go? Well, so-and-so's character says, well, I try to do a perception check. Do I see anything? You may fail at that, right? You're like, oh crap, no good. Oh, he has the best perception. No way we can beat that. Well, in that case, Moth may be like, look, I'm a professional second story man. My acrobatics or my climbing skill is really good. Can I see where somebody could have gone up the wall? Using any of those skills and that type of is totally legit by me, right? So as Moth said, second story man, that's fine. If he's coming along and wants to see, has somebody broken into this house? Has somebody been in here recently? Any signs of somebody shimming open a window or something? He could use sleight of hand. Let's see here. Even deception. If you give me a good reason why you want to try to use it, I see no reason not to. Fair? Make sense? Okay, good. All right. I do not. Are there any other questions about rules or how that type of thing will work? Anybody?
No.
No, we're good.
Good.
I've got
We're good.
a question about Avalon itself.
Yeah. What you got?
Is it built on like an older city? Is it, how old is it? How long has it been around?
Very good question. So Avalon itself, it's massive and ancient. Beneath Avalon, there's the huge sewer system, and much like Rome and many other cities of that type, it's built upon itself. If you've ever read Terry Pratchett, Ankh-Morpork is built on earlier versions of Ankh-Morpork because it just keeps burning down, falling over, and so
there's
on.
Layers and all that kind of stuff.
Definitely layers. You can go into the sewers where the Brotherhood of Excavators keeps things moving and flowing, and you find that crumbling wall. You go through that abandoned basement, knock open something. There's a door there. What does this lead to? Some people claim that even farther below is an ancient dwarven city. The sages will call it Thorbrandor, but nobody's been there, or anybody who claims they have, it's obviously stories and bullshit, right? But it's very old. there's a section of the city itself, which is supposedly where the original city started. It, within the walled massive city of Avalon itself, is walled off. It is forbidden. No one else is allowed in there. It's constantly guarded by the Griffins, and the only folks who go in and out are the Lichet. There are certain burial grounds and certain noble families that have access to it, and they will foray the dead into, or perhaps out of, depending who you ask, that section of the city. But otherwise, nobody goes in it. So to answer your question, short Harrigan, it's old, and there's plenty of it farther underneath it.
Okay. One quick follow-up. That okay?
Of course.
Technology. We talking kind of classic Western medieval Europe, or more Renaissance? Are there firearms, that sort of thing?
Yep. So good question. This is like somebody's read my book. This is cool. This is helpful. There are guns. Thank you very much. I'll pay you for the $5 for that plug later. So we do have flintlocks, wheel locks, and so forth. Percussion cap style guns, not so common. We're talking single shots here, right? They are incredibly expensive. We're talking gold pieces expensive within the Avalon world. Guns are fucking deadly. You get shot, it's going to hurt really, really bad. They are not common. If you see one, if anybody were to brandish one, that means that individual has a metric ton of cash. Oh my God, that person's rich. Much more common to the north. So, which answers what I was going to throw at you next is, at this point, you guys are in the southern section. You're in the dock ward. The docks are not, you're not right on top of the docks, but a couple hour walk, a half hour if the traffic is light through the right alleyways, you could get down to the dock side, right? So that's kind of where you're at. The time of year, you think late spring, maybe an early summer coming. You still have plenty of smog and fog and things that'll roll in off the ocean itself, and lots of different just pollution from within the city. There's crematoriums burning. There's alchemists trying their thing, wizards burning stuff, people burning coal, logs, rotten wood, rope, anything they can to keep warm. It's chilly enough that during the mornings and the evenings, people are going to have the fires going, right, to keep things nice and toasty as much as they can. And it's also a good time of year that the Lichet, where the corpse carts have been wandering through and been picking up plenty of dead from the thaw. So as things go through, you're like, oh, there's so-and-so. Looks like, Lark didn't make it. That's unfortunate. So, any other questions? Good? Sweet. All right. So we are at the Rusty Eel. The Rusty Eel it's an inn from this neighborhood. It's run by Oleg. Oleg's been running the Rusty Eel for as long as anybody can remember. Bald-headed guy. He's got a nasty scar that comes down the side of his face, and he's blind in his right eye from whatever that scar was. He claims it was from a gaff hook and some kind of a brawl he got in on a ship. He quit sailing because that's bloody dangerous, and now he's here, and he's been running the inn ever since. The Rusty Eel has, or would have had, a wonderful steel painted eel sign directly outside of it, but age, weather, and such, and pollution have just kind of taken its toll. So the sign is just rusted all to hell. It used to be called the Green Eel, probably, but it's called the Rusty Eel now because that's all that's left of the shingle hanging out front. The Rusty Eel is well known for, it's got really good eel stew, per its name, really, really good. Leaves a horrible aftertaste in your mouth. Just don't stop eating it and you'll be fine. The beer's average, not too bad. The wine is abysmal. Nobody buys the wine, at least nobody local anyway. That's safe for the idiots that come from out of town type of thing. And it's the place where everybody gathers at some point. So your main guilds members will come here. People stop in. Oleg serves food, drink. It's a hospitable place, and directly out front of his inn is the market. So the neighborhood has kind of a shifting market, if you will. You have street alchemists who come in on their little two-wheeled carts. They kind of push them in. They sell, unguents and ointments and potions and poultices and anything you could rub on yourself, inject in yourself, drink, whatever you think you might, whatever type of snake oil it is you're after, they sell that type of thing. Sometimes maybe they've even got a little extra authentic magical kick, depending who you find. There's bakers, all that type of thing. So outside of this inn is the market for the neighborhood, and because of that, everybody at some point or another throughout the day wanders through. Let's see here. So we are going to start off in the Rusty Eel. At this point, all of you are aware of each other. You don't necessarily have to be friends per se, We're going to talk about that right now, actually. So, Nat, you're a bard, kind of a drunk, been in trouble a little bit. How are you and Reverend Cat getting along? How do you see Reverend Cat? Reverend Cat talked about, kind of not necessarily fire and brimstone, Tony, but you talked about kind of how you're preaching and talking. How do you interact with Reverend Cat when you have to?
I would say that we're in a bit of a competition in that we both want the crowd. He wants to proselytize, but I want to tell stories, that sort of thing. So I don't think we're necessarily at each other's throats or anything like that, but maybe some at least healthy competition. But I would pitch the ball over to Cat, see what he says about that as well.
Yes, Reverend Cat, how do you don't have to see it the same. You could see it as any way you want. Is this some drunken bastard who just doesn't quite get it yet? You're going to beat it through his skull, or how do you see him?
I see him as a great opportunity for a healthy tithe.
So money, you see him as a...
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't reduce him that way. I'm just concerned for his soul. His eternal life is ever at risk with his vices and habits, but, repentance comes with a cost.
So can I put a twist on that?
Go for it.
So I can see maybe in his weaker moments when he's drunk, etc., maybe coming to confess to the Reverend from time to time.
Okay, very good. So, Reverend, when you're proselytizing, you're talking, you're trying to get people, and is there a type of God that you're following? Is there something along those lines? You're like, oh, it's an Odin type of worship, it's an old faith, or are you just a spiritual person in general?
I would say probably protection, home and hearth, that kind of thing. So maybe like Thor or Balder, if we're using Nordic relations.
Yep, you could do that easily. There are a shit ton of gods within Avalon. A lot of people find different variations, themes, and so forth. Odin is one of the larger gods that the nobles will worship. There are various pieces of him or of that pantheon that'll come about. So Balder could easily be one for you.
So definitely a common man kind of faith, but probably either came from upper class.
Okay.
Didn't get on with my parents very well, so a combination of rebellion and alms brought me into faith, which in turn has been my drive henceforth.
How do you see Moth? Moth is a rogue. I want to think Moth probably comes across as an unrepentant second story man type of person. This is the thing he does. How do you see him?
I mean, as long as he's taking from people who have some to spare, and he's willing to part with some to help his fellow man, then, I mean, I won't call it righteous, but I won't be indignant.
Okay. All right. So if he does the right level of Robin Hood, if you will, he's okay. Okay. So Moth, you've got a loudmouth bard who's been around. When I say loudmouth, he's boisterous, right? So Nat's got a big personality, and when he's the storyteller kind of person, really good at it. And Reverend Cat seems to be, okay from a preacher perspective. So Moth, how do you see these guys?
They're characters, I think that the Moth is probably quite professional. He's a well-resourced, well-heeled professional thief, probably not of valuables, more likely of information.
Okay.
I think you might break into places to find a thing out. If you need to find a thing out, I can do that for you. That's fine. His character when he's not at work is a normal guy in the street. That's fine. I know these people. I shout at these people. These people shout at me. That's all right.
Okay.
But I don't see them as being professional in the way that I think that I'm professional, I would say.
Okay. So I got it. Yeah. Your management.
I'm very much hands-on in what I do, but
Okay.
I've got a kind of a professional method, and my life outside of the job is, down the tavern with these guys. My life in the job, I wouldn't pass the time of day with them,
Got it.
When there's a job, when I'm on the job, it's all work, no play.
Fair. Like it.
Just to tack on real quick to the whole concept of information brokering.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think for the right price, as long as I can redistribute that money accordingly, I would be above sharing anything I might pick up in confession.
Now that makes you a very interesting person to me.
Ah, excellent. Oh, I love morally flexible people. Robert, so Laura knows these components, these pieces, right? So Moth is the consummate professional thief. Reverend Cat is the appropriate level of morally flexible, tries to do the right thing for the right people where needed. Nat knows a lot, right? As a bard and a storyteller, he has a lot of info and knowledge, and he's going to know a lot of people. So how do these guys, how do they rate in your eyes? What does Laura see these folks as?
They look like they are people that can certainly help me in terms of, sort of obtaining greater reputation or wealth or the combination of both. So Laura is really, I'm looking at all of them as the various pieces in the sort of puzzle that's going to help me achieve greatness.
Okay, so these are pawns?
Or
not quite.
They might be a little bit. They might be a little bit more than that, but I see that they have various specialties, and those specialties are going to probably come in handy. And I'm interested in sort of getting to know them better.
Okay, got it. All right, Toad, our bargeman warlock.
Yeah, I guess he's a bit of an opportunist, so he probably also just tries to figure out how he can leverage all the different skills, right? If it's helpful to have he's more of the quiet type and kind of likes to stay in the background. And
does Toad as a warlock, right? There's a bond to something outside, right?
Oh yeah.
So is that a thing that he, because of the secretism, I'm assuming he doesn't let on with that? Is his magic something he tries to keep private?
Yeah, so he definitely doesn't talk about where it comes from. I think if you've spent time with him, you've probably seen him work some magic, but it's not entirely obvious, right, whether this is something that he somehow studied somewhere or the source of the magic is unclear to you all. He definitely doesn't talk about that. And again, you do have the sense that there's something a little bit off about him, right? And he has these nightmares. And
okay.
So you might have some suspicions that maybe there's a darker power somewhere that's somehow at play. He definitely doesn't talk about that, but he's not evil or anything, and he's certainly if it's in his advantage and he can find a way, right, to get some mutual benefit out of things, he's more than happy to cooperate with.
Perfect. Laura,
it seems like our motivation's very similar between me and Toad. So, and I would be very quiet too. Sort of, somebody looking at me more carefully might get a sense of that I'm, constantly observing things and trying to sort of, learn about my surroundings. And I would say in my case too, it's not readily apparent that, it's not like I'm walking around saying I'm a wizard, everybody. So
got it.
So it's not something that's advertised.
Okay, cool. Good.
You don't have the big pointy hat with the stars on it and all
right,
that.
Exactly. Yeah.
It says wizard right across the top. Yeah.
I don't understand. Why wouldn't you loudly announce your profession to everyone around you?
Says the guy with the holy symbol. Priest, just in case.
Unless you're ashamed of it, right? Then you better tithe to repent.
Nice.
All right. So, in the Rusty Eel, it's one of those kind of rainy, dreary days. It's been off and on. The fog has just never really completely broken. It's chilly. It's just not very comfortable. The market outside has done some okay work, but most of the people from there have kind of shut up their little push carts and all that, and they've kind of worked their way back into the inn. This place it's got the fire going, it has the beer, the wine is terrible, but hey, it's better than nothing. And well, so the bakers are in here, right? They're selling their bread and they're moving things back and forth. So there's plenty of food, and people have just kind of moved into the Rusty Eel. It's the better place to be right now. Quite frankly, it's shit outside. 1 minute it's pissing down, and the next minute it's just drizzling. It's just crap. You don't have the thunderstorm or anything heavy like that, but it's all cloud cover, and it's just miserable. So as folks are coming in, stamping off, the rain, going over by the fire, trying to warm up, the rumors start, who's doing what's been happening. One of the problems that plagues the city from time to time are rats, big or rodents, anything like that. So you've got, rats, big rats, and big damn bastards is usually how people refer to them. They're nasty and they're annoying. You have a rat catcher's guild, and the local rat catcher is Karen, and she's been out and about doing her thing. And one of the problems that you hear from, I need Harrigan, give me a name of a grain merchant.
Fronder.
So Fronder's the one who procures most of the grain for the area. So the bakers go to him, the brewers come to him, and so on and so forth. One of the reasons he set up shop here originally was Fronder had a really good partnership with the Robillard Brewery. Robillard was a nobleman, he was within the Brewers Guild, not necessarily the richest, but, did okay. He was starting to expand within the area. And a while back, old man Robillard passed away. The property fell into disuse. The city, the neighborhood's trying to figure out what they're going to do with this brewery. The brewery's in this wonderful location where they had paid the sanitary excavators enough to keep the fresh water flowing constantly underneath. So within the brewery, this large building is a few stories high, and they have a big water wheel that they use to pick up water and utilizing that for their brewing purposes, right? So they paid a great deal to get there. The problem was Robillard's beer really didn't sell that well. Money got tight. Old man died. The thing fell apart. Well, Fronder is now getting really annoyed because all the rats have apparently finished off whatever was in the abandoned brewery, and now they're working their way to his grain stores. So he hired Karen to come over there and take care of that problem. Karen's first thought was, it's just rats. It's not that big a deal. If they turn out to be giant rats, some big bastards, maybe, I'll get involved. But her first thought was, hey, I'll just pass it off to a couple apprentices. So she sent 2 apprentices over there. And 2 days later, she hadn't heard back from them. Couldn't find them. Couldn't figure out what the hell was going on. So Karen said, fine, grabbed 3 more apprentices from neighboring areas and said, all right, we're going to go in there. We'll just clean this out. Chances are what happened is they went into the brewery, broke into some old wine kegger, found some beer, somewhere just hammered somewhere. Or they found a store of coin or something. They've fled, whatever. Just didn't think much of it. Well, Karen and 3 more people have gone in to the brewery to deal with this. They always check in with Fronder and at the granary and say, hey, what's going on? Tells them what's going on, blah, blah, blah. And then they go into the brewery and then they don't come out. So at this point now, you have what? This is 5 people plus Karen are gone. People have tried to get a hold of the local Griffin battalion, and Sergeant Harder has been notified, but he did a preliminary search, couldn't find much. He came back, reported it. Fronder makes a fair amount of cash. He's a high-standing member in the Grain Merchants Guild. Paid a little extra silver to try to get Harder and the Griffins to go over there and really dig into this further. And he went with his little group. So a normal group of Griffins is anywhere from 4 to 5 people. It's not a lot. So he grabbed a couple of his underlings. The sergeant went over there, and he never came back. So as you can imagine, we're looking at 10, maybe 12 people within the last month have not come back from the brewery. So people are talking about Robillard in general, the man, the family who ran the brewery. The first myth, of course, is that he was wealthier than he thought. He still had big connections to the magistrates. He was doing something, nasty, sneaky underneath. You know, it was a front for the mask guild, whatever, and that's why he was losing money, quote unquote. Any type of conspiracy, wild type of theory. Some people say there was a fire broke out, but no one remembers a fire. Somebody died. He cheated on his wife and was cursed by a witch. You name the myth or the rumor, and it's laid on at his feet. What's true to that everybody knows for a fact is that it's been almost a year since the brewery shut down and was abandoned, and since that time hasn't been opened. Most of the street people avoid it. It's generally considered a bad place to hang out. In a city like Avalon, especially throughout the winter, it could be kind of a better place to hang out, right? You need a place with a roof over your head and walls and so forth. But word on the street with different, some of the homeless and the other people who just, tougher times, as it were, they don't bother to go there. There's something about it that creeps them out and they don't go. The Runners of Hermes, the Church of Hermes has kids, tons of them, your early teens and down, and they run around as messengers within different neighborhoods and stuff. So you can get a message to almost anybody, anywhere, by giving them a copper, telling them what to do, and then off they go. These Runners of Hermes, they're kids, street kids, so they screw around, they play in different places. They don't even like going over there because it's just plain creepy. Recently, one of the Runners of Hermes has told Fronder and has been talking to Oleg, the owner of the Rusty Eel, saying, hey, they've been hearing really strange noises. They say it sounds like a cracked pipe, like somebody's like using a pan flute or some kind of a musical instrument that it's got these weird, nasty, discordant notes to it, and that there is some kind of they describe it almost like people know what a squeeze box is. They know what an accordion is. That type of musical instrument that's been punctured, lacerated, out of tune, and played by somebody with Brett's sense of music, right? So atonal. They have no idea. Yeah, it's atonal.
Terrible.
It's absolutely terrible. They swear that on really quiet nights, they can hear it from inside the brewery. So people are talking about it. That's the biggest news. Fronder, sorry, go ahead.
And no one has a suspicion about the source of the music? Like, there's no like rumors of what could be creating that music?
The general consensus is that kids are kids and they're just a pack of idiots. So clearly the wind is blowing in from somewhere. There's that paddle wheel inside. I'll bet you what it is that the sticks underneath, there's a flush of water, something happens and it's creaking. It has to be creaking wood. It's fine. It can't be anything other than that. Maybe some steel or a copper pot, twisting on something, but it can't be anything other than that. They're generally ignoring it. The kids, of course, the Runners of Hermes, are dead sure somebody's playing music horribly, but they're playing it. Now, Fronder, at this point, he's about 6 beers in, and he's going to slam the hand down, and I will offer 50 silver pieces to anyone who can go in there and take care of the rat problem.
Nat's there immediately. 50 silvers, you say? That's an awful lot of money.
That's an awful big problem. Needs to be addressed immediately. He's a very important man.
Are the others nearby? Can I eye them and kind of give them the...
Oh, yeah.
Gentlemen.
Everybody at this point has paid attention.
Yeah, Toad is behind you. He's sort of listening in. He definitely caught his interest. 50 silver pieces would go a long way. So.
Moth,
is there any
ahead,
information known about, could we find anything else in there? And if we do find anything else in there, is that ours to keep?
So he says, of course, what do I care? Now, you're an educated individual. Give me let's have you do this. Let's roll a history check.
All right, that's going to be a modified 20.
Oh, very nice. So Avalon law is kind of sketchy when it comes down to property and ownership and so forth. Usually 9/10 of ownership is possession. All this guy wants is for you to take care of the rats. The Robillard family has not laid claim to anything within the building. From what you can tell, since the family hasn't done anything in well over a year, that must mean that they're either unaware of anything valuable, there's nothing valuable, or there's nobody left to bother with dealing with it. So the fact that Frounder is saying, yes, go in there, take whatever it is you want, I don't care, is legit. That absolutely seems legit. Moth, from your professional perspective, busting into abandoned buildings where there's not much there seems a little kind of
No. But I think that rat catchers get to go places, interesting places, and with nobody paying any attention to them, that nobody else gets to go. Mm-hmm. So I would pitch that I don't care about the rats. I probably don't even care about the 50 silver. But if anybody's going to place where Karen the rat catcher's body is, I want to go there and I want to see that body. I think that we might have a professional information sharing relationship, and I want to find out what she had on her when she died.
Okay.
If you're going in, I'm going in. You know what I mean? But I won't say it out loud, but rats are not my highest priority.
Got it. Reverend Cat, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking that 70 silver makes a pretty good support for the orphans in the area.
Well, they offers 50. 50's plenty.
Agreed. I just assumed that everybody would tithe.
Oh, well, yes. Frounder doesn't care what you'll do with your own cash. He's just assuming it's 50. Well, best I can do is 50.
That's very generous, and I'm sure the orphans will thank you for it.
You say that, and Frounder kind of gets a little glow about his face. Yes, I am quite the upstanding member of the community, pillar of the community, as it were. Yes, yeah, I'm doing a good thing here. That's a very good point, Reverend.
Yes. Well, once we've successfully eliminated the rat problem, we can discuss your future endowments to mankind.
At that point, you say that, a couple people start grumbling. You hear something on the lines of, I don't think he's giving a fucking coin to anybody, and God knows how long. The embarrassment hits him as a wave, right? And there's no point not to do a little something here. And he reaches in and gives you a small handful of nondescript coins. You just kind of take it.
Why, thank you. I'll say a special prayer for you tonight.
No, thank you. Make sure you say one for Karen and the missing people. It's very important. They are much more needy than I. Now, let's see here. Toad, you've already indicated that you're up there by Nat. You're interested in this?
Definitely. I mean, I think the money, first and foremost, I haven't eaten a nice fancy meal in a while. And so this sounds intriguing, but also there's something weird going on, maybe something dark, right? So that's definitely caught my attention as well. I want to see what's going on, and maybe there's something I can somehow benefit from or learn from.
People gone missing, dead bodies, you're in.
Exactly. Yeah.
Laura, what do you think?
For me, it's more this weird piping sound. So I'm curious about what the origin of that is.
Cool. Good. So he has offered each of you 50 silver pieces if you head out. He's demanding that you head out immediately. Just to, obviously that's what needs to be done. My grain is valuable. I need to get you out there. We need to get this taken care of. Obviously, that's on you all. Depends what you want to do. So from an options perspective, there's more poking around you can do. Obviously, you could talk to more people here if you envision hey, I want to talk to this person, that person, member of any guild, whatever, ask. You can pull somebody aside, talk to them privately. You could all head out, headstrong and cocksure, and kick in the front door. That's on you. You do what you want to do.
How long ago did I think you said this, but how long ago did the brewery fold?
The brewery folded about a year and a half ago.
So is there anybody that we know of we could speak to that worked there, or would have preferably either somebody like a master brewer who was really in depth, or somebody who would have been like a chump job who loaded and unloaded barley or whatever?
Yeah, so there was an older gentleman named Darren. Darren basically he ran the little ox cart team that went back from the barley stores over here. So his job was just to keep the grain flowing. So he's he's between jobs right now, and Darren's over by the fire, and he's pretty well hammered at this point. He's got some problems. His wife left him. His kids won't talk to him anymore. He's a drunk. He's really, really bad. And ever since the brewery folded, things have just gone downhill for him from there. He just can't seem to keep himself together at all. And Oleg from the Rusty Eel, Oleg just kind of keeps him fed, keeps him liquored up, just almost out of pity because he doesn't know what else to do for the poor guy. But he's sitting in the corner.
I'll walk up behind him, kind of stand there for a second, just to really let my presence be felt before I actually say anything. And then I'll slowly put my hand on his shoulder and say something like, in my most religious tones, Balder says those that cannot take pride in themselves must learn to help others.
Pride? I got pride in myself. I have plenty of pride. This is my 8th one. I could drink more than any other man in the bar. I have more pride than you, priest. He looks at you. He's got one eye hunting, one eye fishing. He's not really focused. Tries to stand up, sits back down. What is it that you want?
I just wanted to speak to you about the old brewery.
Well, you don't want to go there.
Why is that?
It's full of rats. Big ones.
Have you ever eaten rat?
Well, I've been poor before, but not lately, no.
Well, I cook a mean rat.
Okay. He kind of looks askance at you.
They don't call me Reverend Cat for no reason.
He beckons you down closer.
I do so.
Obviously conspiratorially looking side to side. Puts his hand around your head and kind of pulls you in real close, nuzzles up to your ear, and this horrible, nasty, unwashed mouth, beer breath, eel stew belching. There's madness in that brewery. That's what killed it.
Indeed. Say more.
Robilar got into something. Got something too bad. Come up from the water. He's mad. He pushes you away. Give you you betcha. Pokes you in the chest. That's the problem. That's it right there. I gotta go sleep now. He just tumbles over in his chair and he's out.
All right. Saunter back over to the group.
Anybody else want to do anything?
Nat will say to Fronder about the advance of silver. Is there a chance for 10 of the silver pieces up front?
Well, would you take immediate action, I hope? I could easily spare 7 right now.
I'll take them.
All right, 6 it is. Slides them to you.
All right.
Lore, any thoughts?
This isn't a 2-person job. I'm right over there too with my hand open.
Crap. All right, so there's another 6 for you. Moth, anything you want to do in preparation? Questions? Poking around?
Not particularly in preparation. What I'd say is kind of Moth is quite comfortable that nothing could possibly go wrong, so we might as well just do it, you know?
Moth, give me a perception roll if you would, please.
Sure thing. 8.
There is one of the other cut purses. Well, you're not a cut purse, but there's a cut purse that works for the masks. Her name is Mariah, and she's standing on the other end of the room, and she's been eyeballing this whole thing. You've noticed her there. She's usually in here with other people. She's smart enough not to break the, the sanctuary, if you will, of the Rusty Eel. She doesn't cut purses here, work here. This is a place of, peace and whatnot. This is where people hang out. But she seems very interested. And she's slowly but surely making her way to the front door. Is smoothly, right? She's trying to leave circumspect. She wants to leave without people noticing that she's obviously leaving.
Does she have to walk past me in order to get to the door?
You could make it so, yeah.
Absolutely. Could I kind of step out, not banging or way or anything, but I'll incline my head and say, this way for a second, and kind of and walk off to a quiet side of the bar.
She'll do a much better quick check and and kind of make her way over to you.
I've seen you paying attention. What can you tell me about this? What about this has caught your interest?
Well, it's not just rat catchers and griffins. I lost 2 good men in there.
Tell me about good. What I'm asking is, are they competent men?
I would have thought they were.
Brooke, I'm muted and I have no video.
And
Just
with
monitoring
no
stream.
warning, just they went in and they disappeared.
Yeah, see, we're on a job.
Turn on the
She
light.
does the kind of look around low voice, right? That wants to keep this as private
You
as
wanna see
possible.
this?
We're on a job. Some nobleman came down from the north, slumming, doing whatever it is noblemen do down here. Well, we got him a little drunk. We're working a little bump and run on him. And well, things got a little bit sideways. Didn't think his personal guard would get that involved. And quite frankly, I think Roderick just missed it.
So that's Brad,
Anyway,
right?
next
And
thing
this
I
is
know,
his-
I'm trying to play
his
catch up,
background is
and my
the
boys
city
are running for their lives, and they take off into the brewery. The nobleman's 2 guards, his 2 bodyguards, they're right on him, hot on their ass. There's going to be a fight, right? So they bust in through the front door. I hear swords swinging. I hear clanging. I start making my way over there. I'm trying to figure out what's to do. I swear to you, I hear the loudest, most obnoxious noise I've ever heard. You know when those kids talk about the music and looks
Whistling?
around? Yeah, it was bad, real bad. It dropped me to my knees, holding my head. It just ached. I felt like my brains were gonna bust out of my skull. You know when it was over? I couldn't go back in. I was at the door. I couldn't even go in the front door. She looks at you. She's ashamed. She goes, I ran away.
So tell me about the whistling. The kids say that it's music or bad music. Is this? Is it music? Is it screaming?
It sounds like somebody has a flute and they're playing it in your ear.
Mm-hmm.
It's loud. It is the shrillest sound ever. You know what a watchman's whistle sounds like, right? That high pitched. It's that in your head.
Okay.
Drop me to my knees.
I appreciate the nod. I'm looking above the table.
Mhm.
Absolutely confident I'm going to walk in, find out everything, and come back out. And back in character, when I find out what happened to your lads, I'll let you know.
If you do that, I owe you.
I appreciate the nod in the first place.
Okay. She'll make her way out.
Cool,
Yes.
cool.
Did Toad overhear any of that conversation by any chance?
Roll perception. Let's see how you have been
Okay.
kind of sneakily, slyly paying attention to every little piece and part.
That's right. That's a 17.
So you caught a bit of the conversation. There's definitely an agreement between Mariah and the cut purse and Moth. They've made some kind of agreement. They've done a thieves handshake. There's no actual handshake there, but it's an agreement between them that they're going to do something, or at least Moth is going to do something on behest of.
I see. But I didn't catch any specifics about the sound or the noise or anything like that.
She talked about the sound, and she was more animate about that than the fact that her men went missing, right? So she did the clutching at her head. She like, it hurts my head, like it's this pounding sound, tapping her forehead. So she's clearly talking about something that invaded her or caused, had some kind of an effect to her mind.
Got it. So, I mean, knowing some of these dark things that can, affect people in terrible ways like this, I wonder if it might be prudent to get some wax or something to stuff that we can stuff in our ears in case this becomes a problem, so we can
the
we can protect
two
ourselves.
would be that I'm going to come back to the bar and I'm going to, bring up the noise. I'm going to, I was about to suggest some kind of ear stuffing, as would be reasonable. If it's driving people mad, we don't need it.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. That sounds like a good plan.
So I'm going to suggest that the what's the barkeep's name? Olaf. Oleg may have a supply of rags to put in your ears because of our bard. People may often request those.
Well, he's got a couple guttered out candles and some rags and bits of frayed rope, so you can make yourself some kind of a earplug if you wish. Yeah, you could do that.
Okay.
There's enough for all of you to wedge some unclean crap in your ears if you want. Yes, absolutely.
A great idea. What could go wrong?
See how this could go bad. Is this good? This got earwigs in it. That's fucking lovely. All right. Anything else, Laura? Anything you want to do besides?
Other than what we've talked about, no. I think we've gathered enough information.
Okay.
I think we're good to go.
Hit the road. All right then. So the brewery. Oh, sorry.
As we're leaving, just one quick scene of Nat actually lives at the Rusty Eel, and he probably has a corner that's his, in the common room type of thing. So you see him going over. He's a big, heavy set guy. You see him going over and picking up a very disused sword belt. Kind of tries to pull it around himself. Kind of does his best. Carries him in his hand as he falls behind everybody. It's been a while.
So this is like the Shakespearean Falstaff, right? Like,
yes.
All right, no, shoulder sling that fucker. That's what I'm gonna do. All right. That's right. Okay, you guys walk outside. It's past dinner time, right? So it's kind of in that early evening hour. It's cold. It isn't pissing down anymore at this point. It's just a damp. The fog is kind of maintaining here, and overall it's just wet, right? So you've got the drip where the rain is still coming out of the gutters and coming off the roof, and everything is just sodden. The road where there's no cobbles, which is in many places, is muddy. It's just mucky as all hell. So it's slosh, suck as your feet come stomping around. You guys head south. It takes you about half hour to get down there. Is there anything you guys want to discuss on the way? You've got about half hour to kill, if you will, between here and when you guys would site the brewery. Are there any plans or anything you guys want to talk about on the way, or is it all business the whole way down?
I would mention that there was rumors that, and of course they've heard these, but I just recently heard them reiterated that there was some kind of dark dealings there that caused, quote, madness that led to the closing of the brewery. And then every available breath thereafter, I would espouse the needs of the community and how this money could go a long way to helping, and how it's every citizen's responsibility to donate to ensure the goodness of their fellow man, and how all the orphans need help and medicine. And
it's good thing we have these rags to stick in our ears.
I was just going to ask, is anybody using the earplugs at this point? I like it. On the way down now, Moth, you're at this point, from your description, I think the kind of the professional mode is starting to kick in, where you're starting to pay more attention to the job at hand.
I think so. I mean, okay. This is a prime evening. Visibility is bad. That suits me. The ground beneath our feet is terrible and sucky and slippy. That suits me. I'm light-footed. I'm out of it all the time. This is prime operational kind of conditions for me.
Okay. Give me a perception check if you would.
23.
You guys are coming down. You probably could see the brewery normally, but it's just so damn foggy, and the light is terrible. The street lanterns have been lit, so the lamplighters have been through, right? So the lanterns are lit, but it's that classic kind of like think of like Gothic London fog, right? With the lone lantern in it, and all the light is just kind of cracking and dispersed and horribly, it just doesn't look good, right? It's you don't have good eyesight and whatnot here. So you come up past, God, I can't describe anything today. My apologies. You come up to the point where you think you should be able to see the brewery And Moth, what you're noticing is there's a sound of young people arguing up and away. They're trying to argue quietly, but they kind of have that quiet, like 8 and 9-year-olds being quiet together are arguing about something.
How close? So we're approaching this.
Yeah, you'll be walking up on it. You figure you'll be there in up around this place here, probably down the next alley to the left is where it's coming from. Not that far.
I'm aware of the fact that maybe not everybody caught that. I'll point out to the group that there's something up ahead. I'm not concerned yet, but I want to see them as soon as I can see them.
Okay. Mr. Nat, give me a performance check if you would, please.
Uh-oh. That is a 11.
Whether you say anything about it or not, but you catch, or at least you think you do, somewhere in the creaking noise, the different slopping sounds of people, and Reverend Cat trying to inform everybody how good it is to give every single copper you can spare. You believe you heard what sounds like a pipe of some kind being played, like just a shrill kind of whistle and a toot, and then it seems to fade. It's tough to tell where exactly it came from, or even if you heard it completely, because Reverend Cat won't shut up.
And we're within sight of the brewery, or almost within sight?
Almost within. Had it been a nicer day, you could have easily seen.
Okay.
So again, whether you say anything is up to you, but that's...
Yeah, it will, in that same sort of shouted whisper, do you all hear that? The pipe! I heard it! So, not exactly subtle.
All right, so our bard is loudly proclaims that he heard the pipes.
He does. In a whisper, a loud whisper.
Toad immediately stuffs his ears with the cloth.
I drop my cloth into my hands, but I'm not putting it in my ears yet.
Got it. Laura, what are you doing?
Or Snad, he's got his in his hand.
Do we see the kids that were arguing yet?
Yeah, you guys have walked on for a bit, and there's actually 3 of them, and they have a mound of very large rats between them, and they appear to be dividing them, and they're arguing about the fact of how much each one is worth. And this one's bigger than that one, and that's 2 copper. You already have a 2 copper rat. I need a 2 copper rat. And they're going back and forth. They've got like short knives at their belts. They're kitted up as best as street kids can. They're like, look, you already have enough. I know your mom is sick, but I have a sick mom too. You don't even have a mom. The fuck I don't. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. They're trying to divide up some rats.
So I'm going to come up to them, and while I'm walking up to them, I'm going to pull out a copper from my pocket and sort of just flip it, up and down, catch it in my hand, flip it up and down, catch it in my hand.
The clinking, the sound of the thumbnail hitting the coin, they stop their argument immediately, turn.
I'm like, hello, boys. Tell me, where did you get these rats?
If we don't tell him, Max. If you tell him, he'll take our rats.
And I hold up the coin, and I'm like, this could be yours.
I can already get more rats than that, says obviously Max. I know where they all are.
Where are they?
Don't tell him. Listen, mister, if you want our rats, you got to pay us 20 silver. Oh, kids are thinking he's brazen. That's pretty tough. Tough talk.
I put the copper back into my pocket, and I pull up 1 silver, and I hold that up. I say, how about a bargain?
Well, they see an actual silver coin, and they kind of the mouth kind of opens. We're not as shrewd of bargainers as we thought we were. What kind of bargain? Stiffens himself up a little bit, Max. What kind of bargain are you talking about, mister?
What can you tell us about the brewery? Is this where you got these rats?
You've been following us? Points at you.
We haven't been following you, no. But we're curious about the brewery.
Yeah, we've been around the brewery. We ain't scared. We ain't scared of nothing.
Well, this can be yours. Tell me everything you know that's inside.
Well, we don't need to go inside because the rats are just out in the shed. We don't need to go inside. They're obviously afraid about the inside.
Have you heard the sounds?
They look at each other. Well, elbows, Max. Tell him. Well, my memory's kind of fuzzy. Holds his little grubby hand out.
I flip the coin into his hand.
Snatch. Yeah, we hear sounds. Somebody in there is playing some kind of pipes and a banjo or something. I don't know. It's loud. It's terrible. A lot of screaming too. But the screaming don't scare me. Scare Skip here. Skip says, I did not. You pissed yourself. I did not. Back and forth, back and forth.
What do the screaming sound like? Like somebody was injured?
Or being injured a lot. It's dangerous
Just
in
one
there.
voice?
Oh, no. I don't know what's going on, but there's a bunch of them.
And I assume my companions are nearby. They're hearing this too.
Oh, yeah.
So I kind of turn to the rest of them and sort of motion for if they've got any questions for the kids.
Reverend, what do you think?
Do I recognize any of these kids from my regular almsgiving?
Oh, yeah. These kids are out and about. They see you. The kid, Max, with the silver piece, quickly hides it because he doesn't want you to know that he actually has a silver coin at this point.
I'll approach and talk about the importance of giving back to the community and all that sort of spiel. But
Well, that's why we're killing the rats.
so what I'm really trying to do is lay in how they need to be ultra honest with us so that we can help protect the neighborhood and get money for the neighborhood and get rid of the rats and if there's anything bad happening in the brewery and if there's anything they're not telling us,
All right.
they need to tell us.
Hit me with a persuasion. Hit me with a persuasion.
Natural one.
Natural one. The kids, you're talking at them and you're giving them a really good line. The problem is it's dark, it's nasty. They just got paid a bunch of silver for telling tall tales, and they got this big pile of rats that are already worth a copper a piece at least. They're kind of like, yeah, well, they stick to their guns. They swear, whatever they swear by Baldur's eyes that the rats are in the shed on the brewery grounds. There's an external shed. They tell you that what happens is that the rats have tunnels from there and they wait for the rats to come out of the tunnels, and the rats are real slow because they got guts full of grain. And then they stab them as soon as they come out of the tunnels because they're all sluggish. And that's when they bring them out. It's pretty easy pickings. That's why they don't want to tell anybody about it, because rats are worth a copper a piece if they turn them in.
Does the shed have anything else in it? I say to the kids.
Used to have some barrel. It's got barrel parts and stuff, but nothing really.
Do I believe them?
Oh, yeah. Where the unbelief comes in is about the sounds. Any pressing that you give them about the sounds inside, they tell you there's maybe a grain of truth in there, but they're talking about strange chanting, torture sounds, horrible noises, some kind of, mad noises, barking dogs, all sorts of stuff. The story gets bigger and crazier. And about 2 minutes in, like, all right, that's enough. Thank you. Thank you very much.
That says, I think those boys are afraid of their own shadows.
We're not afraid of anything. Look at these rats. That one bit Stuart. That one bit it. That one bit me. Look at that.
I kind of look at Nat and I say, these kids might stab you. Be careful.
Kids, how big are these tunnels? Are they like, rat size, or could a person get through them?
He holds up one of the rats that's about this. It's a little bit bigger than a terrier. And he goes, big enough for one of these to crawl through. I ain't going in there.
Too small for someone like me.
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't do it at all, mister.
All right, too bad.
Is the grain shed they're talking about, does that belong to Fronder, or is that?
No, it's on the brewery. It's on the brewery grounds.
Okay.
What they seem to be saying is that the granary is not that far away, and what's happening is the rats go in the granary, and they've got tunnels back here.
Yeah.
And that they pop out over here. And they just lay in wait. They go down there, wait for the rats to come back all chubby, full of grain, and stab, 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 stab. They got a bit of a tussle. You can tell these kids have had had the rough end of a couple rat encounters. They've got nibbles, scratches.
No sign of any bodies or any people.
Well, we did.
Oh, now I'll press that. You know what I mean?
You want to intimidate?
When there's weakness, what do I have that might be better than intimidation? Is there a
What do you want to do? How do you want to do it?
No, I guess I'll just go intimidation. It's not my strong suit, but you know, what I mean, it's what plays. You know.
Fair enough.
Let's go with that. I got a 9.
So the problem is you guys have been pushing on him quite a bit. You hit him. So Max will tell you that they did see, they were just coming out of the shed. They had their little booty full of rats as they were dragging out some rat bodies, arguing back and forth. They did see, excuse me, 2 thieves come tearing into there with some bodyguards chasing them, right? So they give credence to that story that you hear from Mariah. I talk about 2 thieves go running in the front door and 2 big, soldier looking guys chased after them. And then some lady comes up and this horrible crazy noise came out. We just stood there looking and she looked bad. I don't know what happened with that noise, but it really seemed to bother her. She went down and she on her knees and started throwing up and it wasn't good. It wasn't good at all. They just wait.
But you 3 kids were okay.
Yeah, seemed fine.
Horrible noise. Nothing bad happened.
No, not for us. She doesn't like it though.
Does anybody in this group have any idea why that would be?
Was she inside the building?
Outside the front door.
They passed their saving throw. Breaking the 4th wall.
That's all right.
Character. Nat's ready to move on. You guys hear behind you kind of a thump, 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 thump. He just has a little drum that he's beating.
You're good, kids. Bugger off.
Okay. They quickly scoop up all the rats, stuff them in bags. We're still not done with this, Max. You owe me 2 rats. I already gave you 2 rats. They argue back and forth as they trundle off down the alleyway.
Hope you boys remember to tithe.
We will. We ain't tithing nothing.
They're going to give you a rat.
Exactly.
I'll take it.
All right. Press on to the brewery. Yes.
We could check out the shed first. I don't know if we'll find anything there, but it might be worth checking out first.
Well, as you guys walk down, you see the brewery itself. It's a big 2-story affair, and you know for a fact, based on the stories, that it goes down into the basement component of it. And the basement has the basement's where the paddle wheel connects into the river Styx underneath, and so on. But so that's there. Let's see here. It normally would have a wall around the outside of it just to keep out, the ne'er-do-wells and thus and such. But you don't have anything like that left, except maybe knee-high to a bargeman type of thing. I mean, Toad might stumble over it, but the wall's pretty much smashed and broken at this point. The corners are a little bit taller, but you can see the main gate gone and the front door to the brewery. Because the wall is down, on the right-hand side, you see the shed. The shed's a pretty good-sized building, right? It's more of a shack than a shed. The doors on it look to be partly closed, and there's some kind of there's a board trying to brace the door shut from the outside.
Locking the shed shut.
Yes.
Changed since the kids were there? Or maybe locked shut by the kids?
I don't know. Any sign that there's like holes in the shed anywhere?
You'll have to get up a lot closer from where you are. Right now you can see it. You say maybe it's 50, 60 yards away from you. Same with the door. So straight ahead of you is the door to the brewery itself, which will get you in on the first floor. And then on the right-hand side, another 50 yards away is the shed or shack, if you want to head that direction.
Moth, you want to sneak up there and see if you see anything?
Yeah, I want to head up by towards the shed, see the direction that the thieves would have run into the building. Check out that approach. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
But up as far as the shed first.
Okay. Give me a stealth check while you're doing that. This is more for you're watching where the thieves went. This is almost like a stealthy track, if you will. You're trying to see what signs and such.
Yes, this is not rolling for. Here we go. 13.
13. Okay. There's a lot of traffic, old traffic to the front door. Now, Mariah told you the story. It's been a while since it happened. You can definitely see heavy boot prints as opposed to the regular prints of a soft booted foot, right? Normally within this neighborhood, you don't have the heavy thumping feet of a bodyguard, right? So what you have here is you can definitely see the steel shod hobnail type boots whack through the mud that's dried, and now with the rain and everything else, the mud's kind of softened it up. You can definitely see there's been tracks out here. As you make your way,
pile of puke anywhere on the ground here?
There's not a pile of puke. We could definitely see where some stray dogs and other things have been eating whatever was in a kind of an oblong circle. Yeah.
So I'm aware when I'm within range of losing my lunch if if I hear the sound.
Yes. If this looks like puking distance right about here. This is the line. I think past here's a puker.
I'm willing to go inside that. I'm confident that whatever happened to her isn't going to happen to me. That's not a thing that happens to me. I'll approach the shed.
You're gonna okay. So the front door, you get up close enough where you're within the puking range, and then off to the right, you start cutting over to the shed. So Reverend Cat, give me a perception check if you would, please, sir.
$13.
Okay. There is on the second floor. Now, most of the windows would have shutters on them. The shutters, of course, has been a year and a half. So some of them are broken, weathered. The locks broke, so the wind smashed them around. You definitely see movement inside. It looks like low movement. So normally, if someone was standing by a window, you'd see, torso to head type of thing. What you see is somebody much shorter and rather rotund, from what you can tell. You kind of like chest up, and they seem very, very barrel-chested person, very short. Kind of came up, poked a head up, and then faded back.
There's a bargeman in that window.
Toad, I'd like you to make an Arcana check, if you would.
Sure. Let's see. Oh, that's a nat 1. So it's still a 5 if it counts, but it's a 4.
So as soon as Reverend Cat said there's a bargeman up there, you're like, huh? And you snap up. And you're like, okay. You don't see any lights on, nothing. You had an odd feeling like a tickle in the back of your neck type of thing, but nothing seemed to really come of it at all. Laura, what are you doing?
I'm listening and trying to see if I hear anything unusual.
Perception.
That's 15.
Very good. There is a low moaning sound from inside the front door to the brewery is ajar. You hear a low moaning sound from within. It is very much like if you took a big wooden wheel and creaked it side to side, right? So you've got that groaning sound of wood, trees, on each other. Or it could easily also be mistaken for a person. The sounds at this point seem very, very similar to you.
Okay. And I mentioned, sort of whispered to people around me and said, "You guys, do you hear that?"
Can Nat discern whether it's a person or something natural, like is it by the cadence of it type of thing?
Yeah, give me a performance check. We're going to see if you can.
16.
Yeah, that seems. It doesn't have the repetitiveness of wood on wood. You hear that, and you're like, no, that's somebody making that noise. The wood on wood, a tree in the breeze type of thing, creaking has a certain repetitive quality. This seems not to have that.
This is someone in distress.
How far away is this? So if it's within 30 feet, Toad would like to cast Detect Magic to see if he can.
You
discern
could get
whether
up.
there's
You could get up within 30 feet. You could get up closer. Right now, everybody is moved about 40, 50 feet away. You're slowly kind of making your way up. The only person who's gone up way closer is Moth, and he's on his way to the shed. So you're gonna move
Okay.
up.
Sure. Yeah, I'm gonna carefully move up.
All right.
What the heck?
All right. I'll get back to you in a second. Moth, you've made your way over to the shed. There's plenty of bare feet, sandaled feet, and very small feet. The kids.
Mm-hmm.
You can actually see a muddy little kid's print on that board where they've wedged it in place to keep the door shut.
Okay. Could I check out two things? Are you saying that the brewery is a 2-story building?
Yes.
Above 2 stories above ground and a basement as
Yes.
well.
Yep.
All right.
So there's 2 stories above ground and then a basement.
Did I
below.
hear the loud whisper of Reverend Cat when he said that he saw a
Bargeman up there?
bargeman?
Oh, yeah. You can't not hear Reverend Cat when he whispers.
And I kind of signaled back to Reverend Cat going, was that upstairs or was that at the ground floor?
Reverend?
Where
You
did the Reverend see the... Gotcha. Because my natural approach to buildings would be, you don't go through the front door. You go in through, you find a higher route in, you know? Is there anything kind of interest about the shed? According to the kids, this is just where they found some rats, you know?
You hear the squeaking inside. You hear rats.
Mm-hmm.
And you can smell rats.
That, I mean, this isn't where my interests lie exactly. Unless this is actually where Karen kind of met her end, but I think I'm more interested in the brewery itself. Yeah, just for the sake of it, I might just get myself off ground level and kick the bar off the door to see what happens, but just so that I'm out of the way of scurrying rats as soon as I expect them to come flying out the door.
Okay, got it.
Probably jump up on the roof of the shed and pull the bar out, pull the whatever barring brace is in the way.
Yeah, little plank, yank it out of there. Got it.
And
Lore?
before he does that, actually, can I move up to him and sort of signal to him, because I can cast Mage Hand. I don't know if that'll be strong enough to open that, but I can attempt.
Oh yeah, Mage Hand wouldn't have a problem with it. The disembodied magical hand can grab that plank and yank it right out from there.
Okay, so if you want to get situated on the roof, I could do that. I'd still have to be 30 feet.
I find it real easy to climb up stuff. Not only is it one of my proficiencies, but I've got the magical kind of half ladder rung of an immovable rod. I just pop myself kind of out of rat reach and let that fly.
Okay. Crams an immovable rod up there, does a little acrobatic pull up, and then Laura, you're going to pop that. So back to, let's see, Toad for a second. You got up closer to the building. You cast Detect Magic.
Yeah.
There is definitely magic within the building. It's at the distant end of your range, right? At least that's how it feels. Detect Magic is going to tell you schools and type and so forth. You have heavy transmutation feeling.
Interesting. Okay.
And with a piquant aftertaste of necromancy.
Oh, that's intriguing. Okay. I will actually, so I'll scoot back and I will relay that to those of you that are close to me. So there is, okay. I detect the presence of dark magic.
Laura, you pop the plank out. The door swings open slightly, and you can
allow a dagger to slip into my hand,
just in case,
because you never know.
Laura, you pop the plank. Moth is up there. I got the dagger out, and there, as the door opens up, you see a big fucking rat pokes its head like out, sees you, and scuttles back. It's big, like I said, the size of a large terrier. It's a big goddamn rat. It sees you and pokes itself back in. Then there's the obvious sound of skittering and squeaking And especially from where Moth is, the smell of rat is pretty heavy.
Am I in a position to kind of lean across, pull the door open, have a look inside?
Yeah, you could do that.
Is there anything worth seeing in there?
So Moth leans down a little bit, pulls the door open. So Laura, you're looking at dead on, right, where you yank the plank away. Moth is kind of slight angle, a little bit upside down. With inside, the rats, once the door opens up, they scurry back down the hole. So they just start digging, diving back into that. There is all sorts of rat shit and just stuff that rats collect. So there's bits of glass, there's stuff in here, nothing obvious of value or anything like that.
I'll say it to Lore probably. You know what I mean? There's nothing here. I'll close this door.
Okay,
Fair enough.
sounds good.
Yeah, you know what I mean? There's no rats in the doorway, so I just you know what I mean, turn off the immovable rod, pop down, and stick the plank back up.
Very good. Reverend Cat, give me a wisdom check, please. A wisdom saving throw, I should say. Ten. There is something in your mind, right? It's you they talk about the sound that they heard inside. Laura said, "Hey, I heard some stuff in there." Nat's like, "Oh, that's a person." You, instead of catching a moaning sound, you're catching more of a help me. That's what you're hearing. And it's kind of in that help me, help. And that's what you're hearing in the groaning.
Someone or something needs our help. I suggest we pick up the pace, gentlemen, ladies, whatever.
All y'all. All right. Are we going in? What do we want to do? We kind of reconverge back outside the front door. We have learned that from the detect magic, there's transmutation with a touch of necromancy. There is a noise of moaning. The priest believes that he's hearing someone calling for help. And there's a big box of rats over there.
So
I will loudly announce that we were coming to help you.
Ah.
Ooh.
Oh.
Yikes.
Reverend, you don't know what's talking to you.
If it's evil, we'll smite it. If it's good, we'll save it.
So what's the plan?
I would propose to the group that what I'd do is scale the front wall, not enter the front door, check out the top window and see where that bargeman was, and give them the nod if the front door is a good move.
Everyone, I'm seeing heads nod. Is that true? So we're good with that?
I'm good with that.
If you're okay going in there alone, no objections.
Reverend Cat.
Arm
sorry.
ourselves outside at this point.
Okay.
Pull swords and all that good stuff.
You know, absolutely nothing bad is going to happen to me whatsoever. It never does, you know?
Reverend Cat, are you going to wait for this acrobatic thief or are you going to go in, barge in first? I'm kidding. You can do it.
I think it's fine to send other people first.
Okay. Well, I can't collect ties if I'm dead, right? All right. So I'm going
Someone's
to
got to perform the services.
All right, guys, let's call a quick 5 or 10 minute here. I need to run to another room real quick. Bio break. So let's take a quick 5 minute and then we'll come right back and we'll be entering the brewery at that time. Good?
Sounds good.
Good.
Cool. Okay, and we're back. So right outside the brewery, what we have, just as a quick recap here, we have 2 stories. So there's a ground floor, second floor. There's the shed or shack full of rats that apparently have tunnels back over to the granary. Directly in front of you are the open doors. We have checked the floor, or I should say the ground outside, about 30 feet in front of the brewery. You have the place where the one cut purse Mariah had vomited. You can see where the animals have kind of cleaned that up over the last couple of days. There's plenty of adult-sized foot tracks in this area as well. Now, as I said, it's rained and it's been muddy and so on and so forth. So a lot of it's distorted from a foot track perspective. Inside, we've heard noises. We thought may have been like wood grinding together. Like, no, that's human moaning. And then Reverend Cat is positive he's hearing a help me kind of cadence to the moan. Well, also Reverend Cat spied a bargeman on the second floor. And I think Moth had said, you know what, I'm going to scarper up to the second floor, do my second story gig. And I think that's where we were about to go. Is that still the plan? And is the idea that Moth goes up second floor, comes down, lets everybody in? Or does he go in the top and then you guys go in the front door, kind of a 2-prong attack?
Is the door closed?
The front door is slightly ajar.
Okay. So I won't be unlocking it anyway.
No, you will not.
At the very least, I'll go up, see what the story is, and beckon people. But I could be back down in a hurry if that's necessary.
Okay. There's no need to roll to get up here. It's pretty simple. You can, pop the immovable rod in, work your way up to that second floor. This is easy work. You're not even under a time constraint right now.
Mm-hmm. What do I see at the door? Because as I approach the building, there's 2 things of interest to me. What's in the windows above me and what's in the slightly ajar door.
So once you come up to the front door, there is a nauseating fish odor that hits you. This is like somebody has, a lot of cod or salmon that's been laying out in the kitchen for weeks on end. And it's if you're a cat, this might be enjoyable, but you're not. It's pretty nasty. There's this horrible fish reptilian odor that's coming out.
I don't like that, but it doesn't put me off. I don't see anything in the door.
Nope.
I checked the fact that my earplugs are ready to hand. I've rolled them into the cuff of my sleeve.
Got it.
I kind of check my bow. The string is tight. Everything's ready. I use the immovable rod and I climb up to a second floor window in America.
Yeah. Sorry. Yes. I was going to say, as soon as I gave that description, you asked me for the clarification. I'm like, oh yeah, that's first floor for you. Never mind. Okay. So on the outside, are the rest of you just watching Moth scamper up the side here, or what's the plan? Laura, what are you doing?
I assume it's dark inside. We can't see anything.
Looks that way. Yeah.
Some of us have dark vision, but I don't know how far we can see in there.
With the door being cracked the way it is, you can peer in. You can see the outline of stuff, right? So if there were walls and other things, you're not quite sure how big that foyer or whatever that first room might be. Maybe that's a piece of a wall, a chair, a barrel in the corner. To get close enough to see that fish smell hits you as well. It's pretty rank. Low tide at the pier type of thing.
Well, I'm gonna hang back, but I'm kind of at the ready with a ray of frost if I see any sort of danger, either to Moth or coming from that front door. Sort of splitting, looking back and forth between the front door and where Moth is going in the window.
Okay, Nat, what are you doing?
So Nat went with Laura to have a peek in. So he also got hit with the fish smell. Mm-hmm. While we're waiting for Moth to do his second story stuff, he's going to sing the Sea Wolves of Darrison, which is a sea shanty.
Oh, lovely!
But he has his rapier in one hand and he has one of those cloths in the other. So he's singing like this. All right, because the fish smell is kind of getting to him. But he's basically ready to do what needs to be done. He's a little impatient. He's thinking that we should kind of get in the front door and see what this person's doing.
Fair enough. Reverend Cat, what are you thinking? What are you doing?
Get my shield out and my weapons ready, make sure everything's available. Try to start saying some like battle prayers, that sort of thing. One thing I can do if you guys want is put light on a stone and sling it into the through the door.
It'll announce us being here, but maybe anybody already knows because you already sort of announced us already.
It'll help those of us who can't see in the dark. Yeah.
So a little light cantrip on a pick up a rock,
Could
light,
we
and
hold
then
on that
chuck it.
until I've had a look? I've got dark vision. I don't, need that help. But before we light the place up, give me a look, and I'll give you the nod.
Yeah, and I'll definitely wait till you're out of the way. I'm not that good with it.
Yeah, he could throw it and hit you on the second floor. He's not good at chucking stuff. All right.
I have one more question about the building itself.
Yes, go for it.
The grounds and whatnot. You mentioned early on that there is like a canal or a river had been diverted here. So
Underneath. So
ground.
in the basement would be a piece of the basement has the river Styx flowing through it.
That
you. Would provide fresh water and so forth that they would need.
So we can't see any kind of water wheel or anything from here. It's all inside, downstairs, that kind of thing.
Give me an insight check, please. Insight.
18.
Chances are there is a well on the property. So if you were to walk around the building, you could find a well. Because if the river Styx is flowing through here, they would not only have the access through the brewery, but there would be a well somewhere on the property so that the Brotherhood of Excavators, the sanitary excavators, could get up and down easier without having to go into the brewery. It would also be a place for other people to get water on that they would use for other things, because the water is pumping through the wheel, and that's being used to feed the different brewing apparatuses and such that they have. There's probably another well somewhere on the property.
Okay, let's not divert from what Moth is doing, but Nat will. He's going to keep an eye out for that well and maybe even search around a little bit while we're waiting.
About 60 yards to your left.
He'll check it out while he's climbing.
Okay, you're gonna walk over there?
Yep.
I'll back him up.
Okay, so that was Reverend Cat backing him up. All right, so at the front we have Lore and Toad. Reverend Cat and Nat have walked off to the left to go check out the well. Moth is climbing up to top. Toad, what are you doing? You're there with Lore at this point. What are you up to?
Yeah, I'm mainly keeping my eye on the door. Maybe I'll go back and forth a little bit between the door and looking up where Moth is, and basically am ready to zap anything that comes out of it if need be.
Now, detect magic lasts 10 minutes. It has not been 10 minutes since you've cast it, so it's a concentration thing. It's still going. Now, you have the transmutation with the necromancy aftertaste type of thing. That's still going.
Okay.
So that's still happening. Moth, you have gotten up to the second floor, or first floor, in your case. And the windows up there, the glass has been busted. But you could easily, the shutters are, so, I mean, getting in is not that big of a deal. I'm assuming, do you want to do the peer in first or hop right in? How do you want to approach this?
Yeah, I think I get myself a nice little perch, a comfortable perch to have a look in. I'm kind of, if the glass is busted, then the lock is accessible, then the lock isn't a problem. Whatever locking mechanism would be there is not going to be an issue to me. But I mean, what do I see and how comfortable am I? Where's that bargeman?
Yeah, got it. So when you look in here, what you have on the second floor is a catwalk that circumscribes basically the inside, right? So on the second floor, there's a catwalk that goes all the way along the outside walls. The center of this thing is wide open. So what you can see is the catwalk beyond that, past the extent of your dark vision, you see what looks to be a brewery floor. There are large copper kettles and barrels and pieces of barrels, all sorts of stuff down there. I'd like you to roll perception, please. Let's see what kind of details you pull up.
15.
So apart from the barrels, the bits, the pieces, and so on, you can see the top of the wheel, the big water wheel on the far side. So where you're at, kind of near the front, it'd be against the back wall is where the wheel is. So you can see the top of the wheel just cresting above the ground floor.
Mm-hmm.
It is creaking slightly insofar as it's flexing back and forth. There's a set of stairs against that back wall that go down, and you can see a really kind of a sickly green yellowish light that is shining up from that stairwell going down. From here, you can definitely hear some bizarre kind of piping, a shrill tooting, honking on these cracked cacophonous notes are just coming through, and there's this weird croaking sound that you're hearing. This kind of it's a mixture between like a jackass braying and a large bullfrog croaking. It's coming from somewhere down. You think it's echoing out of that hole, the stairs that go down to the basement underground.
Down towards the basement. Do I see any kind of sources of light up here?
No, there are places where there would be lamps, lanterns, and things like that to help operate the brewery, but those are all
They're
shut.
all long since gone.
Nothing's happening there. You do see movement. There's
Okay.
probably 3 or 4 hunched over, chunky little bodies wobbling on stunted little legs across through the shadows.
Ground floor or catwalk?
Ground floor.
Ground floor. Can I see, or do I have to get into the building to see the main door, the door that the other
You
guys
would
are-
have to get into the building to do it. The fish smell is pretty strong up here too.
Okay. I will open the window. I will climb in the window. I want to check the walkway all around as much as I can before as I do it. But I want to see the door. I want to give the guys the all clear to come up to the door.
Okay.
My plan would be to go back down and to tell them that there's beings on the far side by over by the stairwell. But first, I want to see the backside of the door.
Got it. Okay. So while you're doing that, I've got Reverend Cat and let's see here, Nat. You guys have gone over to check out the well. So as I said, 50, 60 yards away, kind of twisting through some of the rubble, there were other sheds and buildings on this property. Those have fallen into disuse, been smashed, looted over the last year and a half. People need firewood. People need stones for different things. So the locals basically do the best they can and scamper away with all the valuable bits of the property. So Nat, you're kind of taking the lead here. And as you walk up, there are a number of different bits of debris, right? So you have you see the well, and around the well are busted, kind of smashed in barrels. You see a wheelbarrow that's wheel is bent or twisted, handle busted off of it. There's buckets. It looks like a whole bunch of shit has just been kind of piled up and around the well mouth itself. The well normally would have a little roof, some kind of a covering on it, and then the crank or with a rope or a chain to get water out of it. That's just flat broken off. The well itself is probably 3-4 feet high. The stones are in rough repair, but that's what you see in front of you. The ground is overgrown, no obvious tracks leading this way anymore. And you can see a bit of a paved path that you and the Reverend have been walking on, but nothing shows obvious use.
Does it look like the debris was meant to cover the well, or is it like leading kind of piled up around it?
It's kind of piled up around it. It looks like it's obscuring the well. The reason you didn't notice it at first was you just assumed it was just a big pile of garbage. You thinking about the water and everything, hey, it's got to be somewhere. You know, I bet. Well, look, there it is. It's
Right.
just hidden in and amongst the debris.
So the real intention here is to get close enough to see if we can either hear the river or hear the strange cacophonous sounds coming out of the well, so that we know that it's underground.
Got it.
I want to know if it smells like fish.
Right.
Okay. As you guys get closer to the well, there is a nasty fish smell that comes up from that. There is also a rot smell, a rotten meat stench, that charnel grave smell along with the fish, which is not so pleasant. Not like the horrible fish smell was all that good either. Which one of you is in the lead?
I think that's Nat.
Perception check, please.
That is
6. Okay.
6.
So, Reverend, you're following along behind and you're watching, looking, and so forth. Nat kind of looks back at you with, oh, God, that smell, right? He's
smells good to him.
readjusts the cloth up over his mouth, takes a step forward. You hear that crack snap as this huge, toothy trap. He steps in it and pow! This thing just snaps onto his leg, and you take 4 points of damage. Crunch! It just grabs his right leg just below the knee, and it bites hard. It's got nasty, jagged teeth. It digs right into the meat, grinds against the bone, and starts tearing tendons. Nat, of course, gives a good size scream.
He does, and falls down.
Yeah, he's there's the jangle of the chain that this trap is connected to, and Cat, you can see where the chain leads off to the side, and there's an iron spike driven into the ground, which keeps the chain in place. Moth, where you're sitting up top, you hear the scream. You're just about to do your little stealth move, sneak in. You hear the scream. Corner eye, you see Nat just goes down. There's a clanking, that horrible snapping sound and a thrashing of chain, and Nat is on the ground grasping at his leg. At this distance in the dark, it's tough to tell exactly what's wrong with him, but he appears to be in a lot of pain.
Yep, I'm going to assume that both Reverend Cat and Nat are busy, you know. Well, I want to whistle at Toad and Lore and give them, I mean, I want an update, you know. What can they tell me about what's happened?
Lore, what do you say?
How much can I see what's happened?
You can see they're a bit away. You hear the clank and the snap, right, of the chain and the trap going off. And pretty quick, when Nat goes down, his leg goes up. He's grabbing onto something. So he's obviously caught and pinched in some kind of a vice. He's trying to pull this thing off of his leg because it just fucking hurts. Wait, you're not gonna leave that thing on there.
Right.
So my assumption too is Reverend Cat kind of does the holy shit step, try to assist. Am I right, Cat?
Yeah, Nat's calling for him. Give me a hand.
I say holy shit, and then I look to make sure there's no more traps I can step in, and then I step up to him.
Because you're looking for it, you do see the other 3, so you just kind of walk around them. You took a second to look, so that saved your ass. You go, oh fuck, don't step. Don't step there, and then you're up next to him. So, Laura, that is what you and Toad see.
I would call out that we found traps.
You're just going to say that out loud to everybody?
Yeah, Reverend Cat says, traps! We've encountered traps! He yells it out loudly in his proselytizing voice.
Can I stick my head in to see that there's nothing on this level of the building, and then make my way along the outside of the building as far as where they are?
Yes, you can. Okay, I need you to, let's see here. Give me an initiative roll real quick.
Initiative.
Yeah, I'm a dick.
All I have to do is find that. 8.
8. Okay. You turn around and you kind of poke your head in, and this horrible, nasty abomination of a face kind of comes up in your face. It looks like it has this big, bulgy eyes type of thing and this froggy mouth with these razor-like teeth. This kind of rolls in towards you. Jesus! I need you to make a dexterity saving throw or you're going to fall.
15.
Very good. You get a bit of a slip, but with the immovable rod and the fact that you're second story, man, you kind of grab on, your feet are planted well, you grab onto the casing and one of the half busted off shutters, you hold yourself up there. This thing it's all hunched up. It's got this mottled gray skin. The stench of fish is just horrible and hideous. Big, bulgy, watery eyes, these nasty little crabby, clawed up hands. They've got webbing between them. It starts reaching for you, but it isn't able to like reach out to grab you. Reaches out towards you, but you push yourself back. So you're hanging. It's kind of clawing at you. Is howling and croaking. Inside, now everybody's on the ground floor. Outside the doors, you hear the braying and the bleeding and the horrible cacophony of noise inside.
So I am not interested in this frog thing at all. You know, it's real nice that it's interested in me, but forget about that.
So what do you want to do? You want to hop down?
Yeah, I'll proceed with moving along at this level. I mean, I'm comfortable at this level.
Okay.
But I want, my intention was to get across to where the traps are and to help out in any way that I can. I take half a second to think about it, and the frog hasn't changed anything there. So I'll move at this level outside the building towards the Reverend and Nat.
So if they're there, you're up here a little bit. You're just scooting yourself a little bit closer so you can hop down and run over.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll get back. Because I'm so comfortable at this level. Moving along here is the same as moving along the ground, and I know there's traps on the ground.
Fair enough. Toad, you hear the braying, the horrible sound. You see some nasty, hideous-looking frogfish monster. Kind of its face comes out and it claws, ineffectively at Moth, and Moth kind of scampers away from it and starts moving himself along the outside of the building.
All right. If I can still see it, I'm going to zap it with an Eldritch Blast.
Roll the hit. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. That's a 14 to hit.
Got it.
Nice. All right. 1d10 force damage. And, well, that's a 1.
Crackle, spack, it hits it, and it kind of pulls back from the wind a little bit. Laura, you have an opportunity to do something if you'd like as well.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and blast it with Ray of Frost.
Fuck that, Sot.
Natural 20.
Got him. Nice.
Boom.
Awesome.
And that's going to be 7 cold damage.
Very good.
And Ray of Frost also cuts their movement by 10 feet.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Okay, so the creature's it was a quartered, almost half hanging out, trying to get a hold of Moth. It got hit with the Eldritch Blast. Then the Frostbolt hits it. So instead of being able to scamper itself back into the room, it's kind of hanging half of its body over the windowsill. All right. So do Reverend Cat, what do you do? There's a ruckus back at the brewery, and you have your hands on this bear trap trying to pull it off of poor Nat's leg.
Yeah, I'll try to pry it open.
How do you want to do that? Just main strength?
Probably initially, yeah.
Okay.
I only had a couple seconds to think about it, so
give me a strength saving. Give me a strength saving throw.
Can I help him? Provide advantage or anything?
Yes, you can. Okay, I'll give advantage to that. He's laughing. That's not good.
Oh, it trapped.
I rolled a 2 and then I rolled a 3. So
yay!
Advantage helped.
Okay. So you get your fingers in there. The problem is, right, so you get it around there and you're trying to not dig your fingers into the horrible mangled flesh of his leg and pry. You're pulling, Nat's trying to help, and he's like, ah! I mean, it's really hard to operate on somebody who's screaming in your face that it hurts and what is wrong with you. Nat, what do you want to do?
I want to try to get this thing off. So whether it's using my other foot to kind of brace part of it and work it apart, or using my dagger to kind of jam it in and twist it so I can partially get it apart.
Give me a Constitution save.
Constitution save. 4.
Nat, he screaming. He pulls the dagger out. His eyes roll back. I'm unconscious, and he's done. He just faints. Shock. He just faints flat out. Clank. So if nothing else, next Rev, it'll be easier to pull it off of him because he's not thrashing anymore. All right. So Moth is you've made your way along the side. You're looking into the building. You pass a few other windows on the way. So my assumption is you're not stupid enough not to pay attention. Coming up the sides, up the little ladders that lead to these catwalks, you see 3 or 4 more of these horrible hopping little nasty critters. They start kind of golfing their way up the ladder. They get there, and they start working their way, running towards you. There's an even louder sound coming from underneath, and everybody can hear this now. It sounds like you took a big pipe organ and just mashed on it, and half the pipes are bent and tweaked. sideways, and somebody in the background is also playing a really bad accordion. So it's this horrible, god-awful noise just rolling out of this building. I need everybody who's still conscious to make a wisdom save. So Nat, you're fine.
Suck it, conscious PCs.
Teach you to be conscious.
It's a 12 for Toad.
A 12, yes. You only the DC on this is 11, so it's 11 wisdom save.
Okay, cool.
15 for Moth.
15, good.
22
11
for Lore.
11 for Reverend.
Reverend holds it off. Lore,
22.
22. Lore's like, whatever.
Oh, music. That's just what we needed.
Exactly. Good. And Toad, you made yours?
Yep.
Okay. So that sound hits your head, and that has that horrible split your skull migraine type of effect. It washes into you, and you have this desire, this almost unconquerable feeling like you need to go to the source of the sound. It's pulling, but it's horrible, right? There's something abysmally bad and very, very terrible about this. It wants to pull you towards it through sheer force of will. You stop it, and that's where the migraine sets in. It hurts. It's really, really painful. In a matter of like a split second, 2 seconds, whatever, it's the pain stops. The noise is there, but you seem to have inured yourself. It doesn't bother you anymore. I mean, it's annoying, it's loud, but now it's just a background headache. It doesn't have that full frontal shut the lights off, I can't take this anymore headache pain. It's past it. It's past that a bit. So Reverend Cat, what do you do?
I'm going to take my mace,
Okay.
and try to wedge it in the teeth of the trap so I can kind of lever it open.
Cool. Okay. I like that. Let's see here. Give me what is your best saving throw? Is it wisdom?
Yeah.
I'm going to let you have a wisdom saving throw. You're trying to do the smartest thing you can, trying to use leverage and so forth. So I think we can let wisdom apply here.
7.
7. It's tough. The other thing is all the tetanus that's just rolling off this rusty thing. You're just trying to avoid that. So it's not good. All right. So you just can't seem to get this thing off. Give me a perception check while you're wrenching on that thing. You're at disadvantage with this one because you're busy.
17.
Oh, well, you're good at this. There's a scrabbling sound from the well. You look over just in time to see this hideous frog-fished head with these big bulgy eyes coming, and it looks at you. It's got these nasty, sharp, jagged teeth. In its right hand, it has this weird-looking, wiggly staff that looks like it's carved out of scales or fish or something. It has its staff, or I should say a rod, in one hand. It's too short to be a staff. It kind of pulled itself up, and it sees you. It doesn't do anything else. So, Reverend Cat, give me another Constitution save. See if we can regain consciousness. Oh, sorry. Nat.
Nat. Yeah, I was going to say, can I lay low and just give me a stealth roll?
Let's see what happens.
I have. Sorry, this is con.
Yeah.
11.
Okay, you're like, oh God. That it's like a throbbing, disembodied pain from your knee down. You're like, I hope that's not me. Fuck, that's me.
Yeah.
Okay, the shock is kicking in. You're like, boy, that's kind of that'll hurt in a bit again.
Yeah, I'm settling into wearing it for a while.
Exactly. You look off to your left from where you're laying, and you see the horrible creature pop out of the well, and Reverend Cat with a mace in one hand, looking at it. What do you want to do?
I'm going to try to. Is there a chain attached to this?
Oh yes.
This is like a big rat trap. Is that what it is?
It's a bear trap, right? So
bear trap type of thing.
Yeah, it will clack, and it's got a chain about 4 feet that's staked into the ground.
And it's clear that the Reverend sees the creature in the well.
Oh yes, the Reverend sees it.
God, what's that? both of his blades are out, and he's on the ground, prone, and he's kind of trying to scooch backwards away from it.
Okay, all right.
Wow!
Got it.
Yep.
Moth, on the side, as you scarpering around the edge of this thing, you're getting to a point where you're looking down, you're looking all over. Give me a perception check, please.
19.
19, perfect. Where you're at, you walk along, you're kind of along the edge of the building. You look down, there are a number of different bear traps and other horrible things lay along the side of it. There is a part, though, like, okay, if I drop down here, this is safe. You get right above that, and again, the side glance across the catwalk. You see 4 of those horrible creatures are making their way towards your window. They're trying to kind of scamper up to where they thought you were going. You moved yourself along the side and like, ah, fuck, and they're chasing after you. This braying, bleeding, croaking sounds as they kind of hop along, striding weirdly.
Sure. I'm not too interested in jumping down. Can I see the creature coming out of the well?
Oh, yeah, you can see that. He's about 40 feet away at this point.
Sure thing. Can I wedge myself in a position which is safe from a window and fire at that with my short bow?
I think you can let's see here. How do I want to do this? Give me a acrobatics check. Trying to make yourself solid yet unobtainable by grasping horrible claws.
That is a 20.
Oh, good God. Okay, yeah, easily. You kind of get away from the windows. One of the froggy fish creatures smashes out another window and claws ineffectively in your direction, but you've moved yourself away. The bow is up. Take a shot.
Certainly. Do I have sneak attack on this?
Oh, yes, you do.
Where the hell is this? 21 to hit.
Oh, good Lord, yes.
Of damage and
3.
9 points of sneak attack damage.
All right, I'm taking your dice away, just so you know.
Yeah, can I?
Can you lend your dice to Reverend Cat, perhaps?
Certainly.
All right. So, Reverend Cat, you're there. Mace is up. Nat has backed away. Good Lord, what is that? Scampered back. The chain's jangling. He's bleeding profusely. And thunk! An arrow comes whistling through the night air and whacks into this horrible, bizarre fish creature as it pops up. Let's see. Laura, what are you doing?
So I'm still kind of keeping my eye on that door. And where Moth is gone, do I still see him, or did he go to a part where I can't see him?
Moth has moved far enough away at this point. It's tough to see him. He's scampered away a little bit. You see that front door? It's starting to push open.
So something seems to be coming out?
Oh, well, that seems to be. Something is coming out, yes.
Okay. I am going to then cast Sleep right at the doorway.
Nice.
Oh, nice. All right. So, lowest current hit points. 5d8. How many hit points do you take down?
Yeah, hold on.
I forgot you had sleep. That's a judicious use of sleep. Oh, fuck that. Poof. Flick of sand. 28?
Yes.
Holy shit. All right. So the door crashes open and 2 snoring blasphemous fish frog men hit the ground, kind of piled up Scooby-Doo style on top of each other. They're wearing some kind of odd tunic looking thing. They have necklaces of human fingers, ears, just macabre decorations, all over them. One of them, who hits the ground, off of his head rolls this bizarre, oddly shaped crowny thing. It goes ting, 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 and rolls in a weird semicircle and clatters off into the brush. Toad, what do you do?
Well, I was just about to zap whatever comes out of there, but it doesn't seem necessary anymore.
You can do it if you want to. Just because they're asleep doesn't mean they're dead.
Well, that's true, but I'm thinking there might be more urgent things to do. So Nat is still in a lot of pain over there, and
oh yeah,
right, and that maybe I saw that thing coming out of the well or a little bit, and that's still up, right?
Oh yeah, it's still up.
So I'm gonna say, Laura, you got this, right? And I'm gonna sprint over into the direction of the well, and then basically, however far I get, and then fire off a frostbite. I think frostbite is what I'm doing at the well creature.
It's like the idea is the bargemen are small, so he kind of pats Laura on the hip, go, "You got this, buddy." Runs off. Obviously, you got this. Zop, and I'm gonna go hit the other thing. Okay,
a long
cool.
way
That's right.
He runs away.
It's a long way to go to say run away from this shit. Yeah.
Well, no,
I'm teasing. That's good. I like it.
But yeah, so the well creature's got a frostbite coming at it, so it needs to make a Constitution saving throw.
That's a 2. 2. No.
All right. So then you will take. Let's see. I guess I will roll 1d6 for cold damage, and that's a 6. So that's 6 cold damage, and then it now has disadvantage on the next weapon attack.
Okay, Reverend Cat, you watch as this creature, the arrow hits it. It tries to push itself up out of the well. This bolt of freezing air comes blasting past you, impacts the creature basically square in the chest. It howls, and you see it just crystallize and just frost burn across its chest, and it falls. You hear crash inside the well. It just falls completely down. As it falls down, you hear more voices cracking, braying, bleeding. Crash, bam, 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 bam. There's a pile of them from what your brain says. There's a pile of them on the floor. This fucker just fell on top of them and knocked them off, whatever they were climbing up. Okay, Reverend Cat, what do you do? Can't hear you, Rev.
Yeah, sorry. I don't see that I have any other options, so I'm going to go ahead and keep trying to pry that trap open.
All right, I will let you have advantage on a wisdom check this time. You've been at this for a bit. You're getting smarter, a little wiser.
I won't move and get in his way.
19.
19. Okay. And finally, the bard stopped thrashing like a wet fish, right? You got him off of that. You get his leg out. It's just blood. Starts pouring out of those open wounds. Nasty. Looks really, really bad. Nat, you're not sure. You could get up probably, but it hurts pretty bad. I would say it hurts to the tune of another 2 points of damage bad.
Okay. This is where you'll have to help me with the 5e part of this. I think a bard can cast Cure Light at 3rd level, right? That was on the sheet.
Yep.
Can I do that?
Absolutely.
Which is what, 1d8?
Let me check. I want to make sure I don't misquote. That's cure.
1d8 plus your modifier.
Yep, that's it. Thank you.
Oh, which is charisma for a bard, right?
Yes.
Okay, he gets back a total of 6.
That's enough that you're going to heal that back. And the other thing it'll let you do is it'll let you stand up and start walking. Right? So you can get up. It hurts. You've got a bit of a limp to you, probably about a 5-foot movement penalty type of thing. You're going to have a bit of a limp, but you're able to get up and keep moving.
Okay. So he sings a little song of healing, puts his hand on his knee, thanks the Reverend.
Mm-hmm.
One last thing he's looking for. Where does this chain from the trap, where does it lead? Does it lead to the well?
Nope. It leads to an iron stake that's been driven into the ground.
Okay.
To keep you in place.
Gotcha.
Moth, what do you do from your vantage point?
2 things. The toad is still up, but did you say that there's more toads down the hole?
There's only one toad.
So it the fish creature that came out of the hole, when it got blasted by the frost spell, it fell down the hole. So there's more smashing, crashing in there. The creatures on the catwalk, you think there's 3 or 4 of them. They're trying to get at you. It's a matter of time before they reach you.
Sure. I'm going to drop down. I think that if I was to hit the ground and use an arrow to set off all the traps that I've seen, so that nobody blunders into them on the way out.
Okay, let's do. Give me let's do a dexterity saving throw. This is just to see how well we do making all that happen.
11.
Okay. You were able to hit the ground. As I said, in this place, this little patch, there wasn't much in the way of traps. You're able to get down, you fire an arrow off. It snaps through a couple of them, but you're not quite sure how many you got.
I'm saying that like by hand, arrow in hand, poke.
Oh, I get it. Yeah. Okay, never mind then. Easily done. So you're able to fall down and snap and kind of pop a few traps off.
Yeah. Nobody's going to blunder into these. They've already been set off.
Correct.
Assist Nat, in heading back towards, the group at the front door,
Or Lore, because he's the only one left there. Lore, you're looking you're at the front door. The door is open. Two of those things have collapsed on themselves. One of them, as I said, they're all adorned. One of them had much more on him. He had a garland of seaweed. He had some kind of he's got a seaweed garland. He's got a barnacle belt. There's all sorts of fish stuff. And then again, as I said, that from a necklace, he has the most ornate collection of human fingers and ears and other components, a foot and whatnot. Past them into the room itself, right? Beyond, you can see where at the far end is the top of that water wheel. There's a set of stairs going down. You can tell that because of that horrible, sickly green, yellow illumination that pops up from it. Coming down the catwalks in the building are 4, maybe 5 of those creatures. They kind of flop glumful their way down the ladder and they run towards those stairs, just braying and croaking and heading down there. The music is still rolling out from the inside.
So it looks like they're heading down
yes,
then, right?
They're definitely heading down.
And you said I saw like some type of tiara or crown or something that came off of one of them?
some bizarre, lumpy looking headdress thing.
I'm going to go check that out.
Okay. You pick it up. It's made out of a bizarre, it looks like almost a silver, but has a different type of lustrous quality. Kind of odd. You could make it fit your head, but it would fit poorly. Let's do a Arcana check, please.
$14.
It's definitely a religious symbol of some sort. It has a kind of the tingle of magic, if you will. It's connecting the wearer of this to a source of some kind. It's some kind of a connection that if you're wearing this thing, it would make you connected to that other person or thing, or maybe a group, but it's some kind of a way that this person is then mystically bound to something else.
Okay. Well, I don't want to put that on. I don't know what that would do necessarily. So since the rest of the group is over doing whatever, they don't know I have this. This is going in my pack before anybody knows that I have it.
Got it. So in a little bit, the rest of the group makes their way over, and that is limping a bit. Reverend, being the Reverend, I assume you've kind of got him propped on you a little bit to help him speed his walk along. You guys get to the front door. Other than that, everyone seems none the worse for wear.
And I explained that I saw those frog dudes jumping down the stairs. And I say I put these to sleep. Don't disturb them, or otherwise they'll wake up.
The music starts to die down. And now once the music is stopped, there's a chanting. There's that braying of jackass donkeys, dogs barking, and bullfrogs croaking. You hear this cacophony of unnatural voices from down that hole. Nat, what do you want to do?
So are we gathered kind of out front?
Yes, out front of the.
So he's thanked the Reverend multiple times, shaking his hand. He feels like without him he'd still be over there. But if we're going to go into the building here, we should seal the well. They could come up behind us.
Toad, I see you nodding. What are you thinking?
I like that idea. I was going to go over to the well anyway, and I heard them falling, but I want to make sure that there's no imminent danger. There's nobody that's continuing scrambling up. And then I don't know, what does that well look like? Like, is it old and worn, and would it be possible to collapse the whole thing by wedging a crowbar in there or something?
From what brief bit you saw, yeah, if you took some of the steel tools and the debris out there and smacked the crap out of it, you could collapse it in on itself.
I'm going to do that.
Anybody want to go with him?
No.
Thanks.
I'll stand over his shoulder. Yeah, I'm not climbing down into it to do anything, but there's an arrow.
Okay. Reverend, what are you up to?
I'm going to see if there's anything I can do to treat the limp Nat's walking with. Being slow in here might not be the best.
If you have a cure spell and you hit him with that, you can take care of that limp.
I can like channel healing as a class ability. So
Yep.
rather than using a spell, does that work?
Yes, that would absolutely work.
I
Yep.
have to divvy it up by hit points.
Nope.
How
In
many?
this case, what you're looking to do is just improve his speed, so it'll knock that piece out. So think of it like a critical hit or a wound that he's walking with. So you eliminate that. He'll still have the damage, but he won't have that effect. Does that make sense?
Sure, but I have to spend. I'll just use a healing spell.
Oh, wait. I think I know what you mean. I'm sorry. I was thinking about it ass backwards. Yes. So you're trying to run that by me again. My bad.
So I can divvy out like 15 points of healing a day.
Yes. So this will take 3. That's what you're looking for. My bad.
So while the Reverend is healing him, he's also got his flask out and he's taking a big draw. He thinks his leg is better from that.
Makes sense. Yeah, it's a bit numb.
Yeah, much better.
So Toad and Laura, you guys have made your way over to that well. You can hear the chanting echoing up from the well, and you can definitely see there's a wooden ladder that goes from the top of the well all the way down. At the bottom of the well, there's a few nasty green, yellowish looking torches that are flickering. It looks like a regular wooden torch type of thing, right? But the flame on it is just this hideous color. And there's like 3 or 4 of them down there have just been dropped and they're burning. So you can see the base of this well. The well looks to be dried, or at least the bottom of it is that rocky, pebbly river bottom that's been, dried out over years.
This could be like a back door way of getting in instead of going in the primary entrance.
Yeah, actually, having second thoughts on collapsing it.
That was the whole idea.
That's true. Yeah, so maybe actually, and I think Moth, you're there with me as well, right? So maybe I suggest that one of us can wait here, guard the well, and then the other person can update the group on what we found and actually suggest that this might be a better way to get in. I also want to maybe detect magic on those torches, see if there's anything funky going on, or if this is.
So if you're going to detect magic, are you volunteering to be the one left behind and send Moth back with the news?
Sure.
Moth, you good with that?
If he's okay. Yeah.
Yep, actually, I'd prefer to be the one that goes.
I'm slower. I'm slower anyway. So.
Lord doesn't want to be anywhere where he could be, I don't know, not very well protected. Although I just was, but I handled myself pretty well at the door. So, if Moth wants to go, or I would be happy to go.
Yeah, I'll scoot back to the door and let people know what Toad is up to. The big door, the obvious entrance, might be difficult. What has been seen there is people far away from the door, nobody up at the door. Maybe the front door is not that bad either. Well, I'll let them know.
Okay. So Toad, you have detected magic again. There's a faint necromantic component to the luminescence, but that's about all you can discern from it. You're not quite sure what's doing it, but that's what you get. It's definitely magic, but that's what it is.
Cool.
So team, we've got the option right now. We have a front door, then down the stairs, or the well, and make your way that way.
I vote for the well.
I'm easy either way.
Reverend?
The well is a tough approach. You know what I mean? You're at the bottom of a well before you get to see what's going on. Whereas coming in the front door lets you see what's in front of you, lets you keep your range.
Also, you can run away a lot easier.
Well, I can get up a ladder pretty quick, but everybody else might have a problem.
I like the pragmatism of Reverend Cat. I can fucking run away a lot faster on stairs than I can up that goddamn one at a time ladder.
I think because of Nat's injury, maybe we should stick to the easier to move around area.
I'm with that.
We got to protect those weakest amongst us.
Hey, now.
I'm not with that.
Laura, are you changing your mind on this, or you want to argue for it?
Well, we've got 2-2. Is that what it is? Nat, you're the tiebreaker.
Is that right?
Yeah, seems that way.
All right.
Toad, you're still good with going down, or did you want to go to the?
I'm at the well, so I guess I'm not in this discussion. You'll have to come back and update me.
Okay.
But I will say that if we decide not to go down, I'll want to collapse the damn thing.
We need to block it. Yeah.
Behind.
Should we scout the well first? Send one sneaky person down.
One sneaky person, yeah.
All eyes look towards Moth. Hey, so
One of us is well equipped for this.
Absolutely. I'm into it. You keep an eye on the what is now to me you keep an eye on my back. I'll take out my rope. I want the ladder and the rope available to me, and I will abseil down.
okay, very good. Okay,
And
so
Brett,
yes.
you need to be aware that the sleep spell only lasts 1 minute. So
Yeah, it's starting to fade. I was just getting to that. So those who are left at the front door, the creatures there are starting to. There's a little moaning and kind of some stirring beginning. So they're about. They've got that, just about to wake up from a deep sleep type of motion going on.
They probably should be put out of their misery.
Yeah. So guys, where's our dial on murder hobo? Is it
If
it
I were-
tie them up or is it put them out of their misery?
Out of their misery, definitely on the far end of that spectrum.
These are abominations. Carrying around trophies of dead
I agree.
commoners.
I agree. A couple of quick dagger strokes.
There we go. Okay, dead and dead, easily coup de grace.
and we're going to search them more carefully as Moth is going down.
Okay.
I have one idea for Moth as he descends. Maybe a couple of us could be on the rope. So if we need to get him out of there quickly, we can pull.
Oh yeah, Moth has stated he's not going down there without at least one of you lads watching his back. So somebody's got to be back there.
Yeah, I'm literally meaning if he gives us a signal, we actually grab the rope and run with it to
Okay.
Sure.
jack him up.
I'll help.
All right,
Greased
so-
or whatever.
That's to me.
So let's do this. Who is searching the dead bodies?
I will.
There we
Nat-
go. I was gonna say,
Nat-
don't everyone raise their hand.
Nat will as well. He's looking for silver.
All right, so Nat and Laura are doing that. Toad, what are you doing?
I'm at the well. I'm going to help with the rope.
Okay, and we
Uh,
know what
keep an
Moth
eye
is
out.
up to. Reverend, what are you up to?
I'll help with the well.
Okay, so my two fine folks, it's Nat and Laura searching through the bodies. So they have, let's see here. You found the thing we don't want to talk about. They've got the ornamentation, the necklaces, and so forth. They do have, one of them has they each have satchels, right? In one of the satchels are these small little ingot-like bars that are made out of what looks like a solid version of mercury. They have a very shiny, almost liquidescent type of appearance to them, but they're maybe about 2 inch and a half, 2 inches long, and about a 1/4 inch thick. They are oddly heavy for their size, but you've got about 3 or 4 of those. The
With
other
my
one,
knowl-
I'm sorry.
And with my knowledge of magic, it doesn't seem like it's a magical device.
Roll Arcana, please.
15. It's carcinogenic.
Hang on. Let me Mary Curie this. I don't have to lick it for a bit. Oh, wait, that's sweet. It's not good.
And I had an 18.
Very good. They're definitely components. They could definitely be used for material components. You're thinking more of an alchemy perspective. This is some sort of a mercury. You're not quite sure what exactly it is or where it came from. From a material components perspective, you think it'd be very advantageous for something that does poison or maybe even a transmutation component. Mercury is a fluid, right? And it moves and changes shape and stuff when it's in its liquid form. It could be a potential use in that as well. Hard to say. But it's not from around here. You've never seen such a thing in this form.
So I'll pocket 2 if Nat wants to.
Nat wants to. He knows a curio shop back in our district where he can sell them.
Got it. The other creature with the heavier adornments, and as Laura would tell anybody, if you were to tell anybody, had the little hat on, right? The bizarre tiara looking thing. That satchel has 2 of those bars, but the thing that stands out the most is this bizarre glob of what looks to be lumpy phlegm is wrapped around these like shell-less eggs. So it looks like think about the size of a football. I'm talking about an American style football, right? So this bizarre kind of oblong piece. It's got these globular little eyeball looking things wrapped in thick, nasty mucus.
And it smells, I would imagine.
Oh, it stinks really, really bad. Really bad. Like
I looked at Nat and I said, "You want this?"
No, God, no.
Well, we'll see if anybody else would want this, but I kind of just sit it on the ground next to us and
Yeah, no, thank you.
leave it be. But we've got 2
Okay.
more of those ingots, so I can take one, you can take the other one.
I agree.
give me a perception check there, Laura.
It's an 8.
Okay. And let's do this as well. Cat, you've got a chance. Not Cat, excuse me, my bad. Nat, give me a roll perception.
11.
So you guys have placed that satchel down. Laura just kind of goes, "That's fucking disgusting," puts it down, pays no never mind to it. You watch him do it. Your eyes linger on it longer, right? He just gave you the quick look. Said, "God, that's gross." It moves, right? So it kind of lumpily moves. The top to the satchel opens, and you see one of those little bizarre spherical eye things just kind of glooping its way out, right? So it almost looks like a tadpole in shape. It has a mucousy circle ovoid to it, and has a longer thin tail. In the center of it is this little spinning black ovoid that just seems to be rolling and pushing the globule out.
How big is it?
Say about the size of a hen's egg.
All right, I'm gonna try to smash that by stomping on it with my foot. It's gonna
Okay. You step on it, it would be like stepping on a like a hard-boiled egg. So you step on it, and it squishes underneath you. You pick your foot up, and you've got 2 or 3 more now clinging to your foot, and they're trying to work their way up your leg. Right. So you stepped on it. The other ones have come out and they've latched onto your boot, and now they're working up the way to that big open sore on your leg. That's where they're working their way towards.
Oh, thanks,
Laura,
Brett, for making it the same leg.
Yes, of course it is. Laura, what do you want to do?
Uh,
You hear the fucking gross. Oh, Jesus! There's now horrible sucking tadpole egg things crawling up his leg.
and there's still some in that mass still, right?
Could be. You could go look. Stick your head in there.
Well, that mass is next to him. I'm gonna just go ahead and hit that with Ray of Frost.
Okay, that'll kill that. All right. He's got about 4 or 5 of these things on him yet.
That boot's coming off.
Okay, just take the boot off and then start splatting them.
Yeah.
Okay. Over to the well. So you guys have got the rope lowered down. Moth, you've scampered down pretty quick. Give me a stealth check. I assume you're not doing this with literal bells on or anything foolish. So
Definitely not. Could I say that I'm putting the wax in my ears or whatever that is? You know what I mean?
oh yeah, absolutely. Yep.
That is happening.
Got it.
Stealth is 11.
Okay, you get down to the bottom. It's fairly well lit because of that sickly yellow greenish light. To your left, it goes nowhere. That's completely caved in. There's a piece there that maybe the river Styx, if it were actually flowing through here, may have been able to work its way through the cracks and stuff in that debris, but it's caved in. There's no way through that. To your right, however, heading back towards the brewery, that path, you see plenty of big flapping membranous feet have kind of slapped their way through the mud and muck in that direction. You can also see that sickly yellow-green light is over that way too. You have the earwax in, so it's muffled, but there is that chanting sound. You can kind of feel it as it echoes through, right? It's almost like that palping feeling on your chest versus directly in the ears. The rest of you by the mouth of the well, you can hear the chanting as well. It's annoying, but you can hear it. Yes, Moth.
So I want to make a loop on the bottom of the rope that I can step into when I come back to the rope. Is there a corner You mean that I can approach to see what happens next?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, I want to take a very stealthy approach to that corner. I want to see around that corner.
Okay. Now, Reverend, as you're up there, what are you up to? Just watching, waiting, observing?
I'm just there to support.
Okay. Toad, same with you?
Same. Yeah.
Okay. Now, Reverend Toad has showed you what his plan was if he was going to collapse this thing. So if you actually want to trap Moth down there, you've got a pretty good way to do it. I'm just in case such a thing were to become necessary. I'm saying it's easily done. Back to the front. So Nat and Laura, you guys have smashed or crushed these weird little tadpole-y egg things that were crawling on you. So you've destroyed those. And you have those ingots. Nothing else that you can find that's odd besides the disgusting jewelry that this thing was wearing.
That's going to take kind of a mental step back here and basically say, what have we stumbled on here? Is there any way that Lore would know from his studies what these things are or what they're doing?
Yeah, possibly. So when you say from your studies, you're talking about like bardic stories and tales you've told?
I mean lore. I mean, you know what? Same thing for me, actually, for Nat as well. Does he know any stories about frog fishmen like this? And
okay.
On Laura's side, I was thinking just from the Arcana side of things.
So from Nat, from your side, give me a performance check. This is you digging into your repertoire of stories and tales you've told.
21.
There are plenty of stories about bizarre creatures from the ocean, right? You've heard stories about gigantic tentacled fish monsters that control your mind and create servants and slaves. Some of the bargemen, thank God the bargeman's not here, but some of the bargemen are said to worship those horrible things. Some people say, again, you only don't tell this story in the mixed bargeman company, that the bargemen flee and that their homeland, they had to flee because of these types of creatures, and that these creatures are hunting the bargemen, and that's why we have them here in Avalon. Basically, that's a racial stereotype, right? That a lot of the locals are putting on the bargemen. From name perspective, some people have called the bizarre tentacle creatures aboleths. They've called them mind fish, slime dwellers. These creatures, though, you're not positive what this could be. You've heard of mermen and fish folk. Your thought might be this could be a mermaid, somebody misidentified, right? You're going to the classic, yep. This could be that type of sick thing.
Is there any sign that the two that are in front of us dead were ever people in terms of their garb or anything like that?
Nothing that looks like you. They do not look like they've been transformed in that way.
Okay.
But they're humanoid in shape. There's no obvious, it was once a man because of.
Got it.
Laura, what are you doing?
I mean, I would see what I could remember about anything possible to this, but I'm not proficient in religion, but I'm suspecting this is some type of cult. I mean, given their chanting and everything.
So if you want to take a crack at religion, not being proficient just means you'll be at disadvantage trying to dredge up what you learned back in catechism class, right?
Sure. It's a really good roll. I had a 20 and a 15, and with my +2, that's a 17 total.
Nice. Based on what Toad has been talking about transmutive magics and so forth, the fact that Nat is saying, well, they've obviously never been human before, or this is what they always are, you are not so sure. You're looking at the evidence from the ritualistic approach, from the transformative magics, and the fact that one of those weird tadpole egg things was trying to bond or corrupt him in some way. You aren't so positive that these things were not once men or people of some kind.
Nat, we could have done an experiment.
Nat takes another big drink.
Toad. So let's see. Toad and Reverend are still hanging outside. Moth, give me one more stealth check as you sneak your way up to the corner.
That is a 24. That's a natural 20.
Good.
Wow.
God. Someone take his dice away. You get to the corner, you peek around, and what you have here is another section of of tunnel that opens into a larger area. In the distance, you can see the wheel turning in what's left of the river Styx that flows underneath here. That's past this first piece. The other thing you see past that is a group of those bizarre froggy fish people gathered around what you I shouldn't say what you think, what you know to be 3, maybe 4 different people who are bound. There's a chain hanging from the ceiling somewhere. What you can see is them dangling about a foot and a half off the ground. They're tied together, and these creatures are around them in 2 concentric circles. The outer circle is chanting, hopping, and flopping and jumping in different rhythms in a counterclockwise format. The ones inside, there are 4 of those. It's a much tighter circle, and they're leading the chant. At certain points within the chant, they stop. One of them has a taller looking crown on its head. All 4 of these on the inner circle all have these tiara or crown like things of this strange whitish gold, silverous, illustrious metal. And the one of them with the largest of it stops, reaches out a clawed webbed hand. Another one regurgitates up this nasty mucousy egg thing. It takes it in its hand, opens one of the humans' mouths and crams it into their throat and shuts their mouth. They continue the chant. The person thrashes and just rise, and eventually they swallow. They have no choice. Now, that's in the distance, maybe 50 yards past. Closer to you are manacles on the sides, the left and the right. In those, you see a group of other people. You think, well, you're positive those are griffins. They still have the white tabards with the griffin logo emblem on it. They're chained to the wall, just hanging there, wrists up, nothing left. They're just sagged. You can't tell if they're alive or dead. You see 2 thieves hooked up on the right-hand side. You know they're Mariah's men. You've seen them before. They're there. They seem to be alive. They're kind of moaning and occasional movements. On the other side, you see a couple more people. You start doing the math, and all the folks that have gone missing, they're here right now.
So the people that are manacled to the wall are in the tunnel on the way to the larger chamber.
Yes.
Right. So could you tell me how many
creatures
or frogmen there are? There's 4 mains in the inner circle. Give me a rough number on the outside circle.
You count a total of 12.
12. Okay, not interested in that. Not quite heroic enough to try and get in the way of the force feeding. They're all quite busy. I'd like to. The other thing is, are the manacles built into the wall?
No, they're pythoned into the wall. They're driven in there. They have been recently installed.
Yes. I would like to, without incurring any wrath, I'd quite like to check on the 2 thieves.
Oh, you want to sneak up there and see what you can find?
You mean, what level of danger does that put me in?
That puts you within eye shot. You'll have to make a pretty good stealth check to stay hidden in the shadows, get up there, and not be observed. Now, the advantage you have is that the others seem to be a bit busy, and they're chanting, hopping, braying, bleeding, cacophonous sounding thing, right? You have that cover. So you could do it.
I won't move up to them, but I do, let's say I take a ball bearing out of my bag and I throw it at a thief.
Okay. So you do a quick flick. It hits him right on the cheek. Whack. He kind of picks his head up, looks around. He sees you. He opens his mouth. Like, his mouth stays open. And this nasty tube sock thing kind of rolls out of his throat, kind of dribbles down his chin, flops on his chest. He has a thing. It looks like you took a long sock, right? Like a lady's stocking, and stuffed it full of hard-boiled, soggy eggs. And that rolls out of his mouth. He hacks out about a dozen of them before he and just plocks on the ground next to him. The sack starts to kind of writhe and pulse and move around. His eyes roll back in his head, and he faints.
Okay, he's out of here. I think I want to beckon everybody down.
Okay.
I think
Scamper back.
This is not the time to try and haul an unconscious person up a ladder.
Okay. So you go skittering back. Let's see here. Reverend Cat and Toad, you see Moth come up and he looks pale, right? Don't know what he saw, but he has a look on his face you've not seen before. That man has been disturbed. I assume, Moth, you're going to give a rundown?
Yeah, it's a rundown. I mean, this is some bullshit. And you know, I mean, I'm not that good. Yeah, I'm not that good. But there's two thieves down there who I am kind of partially or possibly acquainted with, I mean, they're coming out if I can help it.
Right. Sounds like the well it is.
So
I mean, I was kind of down for slaying some rats. This is definitely not quite what I signed up for, but sounds like we don't have any other options.
You guys gonna call Nat and Laura over to you?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll run over there on my stubby little feet and wave them over and see maybe they can meet me halfway and we'll run back to the well.
Okay.
We're there. Yep.
All right. You guys scarper back over. The description I just gave to Moth. He regales the crew with it as quick and concise as he can. This is what we're up to. This is what's going on. You can hear the chanting down there, and the music starts again. It's terrible, and it hits. It doesn't seem to have the same type of mind altering, will draining type of effect on you. You seem to have been able to shake that off earlier, and you're still steeled against it, but it pushes at your mind. You're pretty sure if you let your guard down or Brett fucked with you in some other way, it could come back to haunt you, but you're not sure yet. Pretty sure you seem you're fine.
That's true for Nat as well, even though he didn't make a save earlier.
Oh, you didn't.
He was unconscious.
That's right. Make a saving throw, please. Thank you for your honesty. I'll punch you for it.
Is that wisdom?
Yes, it is.
That's a 9.
Okay, so Nat, the music rolls up, hits him. Laura, you've been spending a lot of time with him. You guys are talking. You look at him and go, hey, Nat, his eyes have rolled completely back in his head, and he starts staggering back towards the front door.
I say to Reverend, I said, we need to grab him now.
I'm walking.
Rev, you going to go get him?
Yeah, I'm tripping him up.
Okay. Everybody converges. Up, take down the bard.
I'm gonna slap him in the face.
You've got him
Step
pinned.
out of there.
His eyes are rolled back, as I said, and he's just kind of has this. He's vacant, absolutely vacant. A slight moan comes from his mouth. He doesn't say anything. He's obviously very driven. He wants to go in through the front doors. He wants to go to the source of the sound. That's very obvious. Reverend, is there something in your head that you wanted to say there earlier? Thought maybe I cut you off.
No. So he seems to be, I don't know, for lack of a better word, possessed.
Yes, he is possessed of a single goal. I must find the source of the music.
Do I feel like if I cast a command spell on him, I could make him get another chance to resist it?
That's a good joke. That's a good go. There's no reason not to try it.
Okay. So I'll cast command on him and tell him to, think about your life.
Think for yourself, you fucking tool. What's wrong with you, Nat? Nat, I'm going to let you roll again. I'm going to give you advantage this time. That's it. I've not heard anybody use that spell before, dude. That's really creative. I like that.
Very cool. 20 in this case.
Got it. You're totally fine. Shake it off.
Oh, what was that? Terrible music. And the cloth goes right in his ears after that.
There we go. Okay. So what order are we going down the hole?
Not first.
I like the dead silence. You go.
Quietest to loudest, in my opinion.
Quietest to loudest. So that's gonna be a race to the last between Reverend and Nat.
I'm fine going towards somewhere close towards the front. I think I'm reasonably nimble, and I got some ranged attacks if needed.
Okay.
I'm okay with that.
I would like to be in the back, but I'm not going to be either the last or the second to last.
Okay. Moth, you got to be scout.
I'm happy to go first. I kind of like the ranged attack options of maybe looking at the other way. You know what I mean? Having kind of crossfire, not all being in the same place.
Yeah, we could distract them from two different sides, right?
Yeah.
All right. So the group is able to get down. Let's see here. Moth, I want you to make a stealth check, but I have you roll for the group, but you're going to roll with disadvantage, which is the 2d20 with the lowest one. You got a couple loud people in the back. You're trying to orchestrate this whole thing.
I got a 16 and a 6, so not too bad.
Yeah, so you get it down there. It's a hell of a lot louder than you expected it to. Reverend Cat and Nat in the back are kind of jostling. All right, then now it's time to be stealthy. Hurry up! You know, so there's a bit of, oh, for God's sakes.
There's lyre sounds and harmonicas and horns and all that.
Exactly. Somebody's got some sort of cowbell there ringing around. It's for no apparent reason. Now, so just to reiterate the look here, right? So you go down to the right. It takes a bend to the left and it goes straight. It goes straight for about 60, 70 feet. Partway between where you are, about midway in that 60, 70 feet, so say 20, 30 feet, is where the people are manacled to the right and to the left of this tunnel. At the end of the tunnel, right, this is where the room is. This is where the ceremony is occurring. You see the obviously now 4 people slowly rotating on the chains where they're bound, hanging from somewhere in the ceiling. There's a chain, and that's what they're tied to. The 4 with the crowns, the priest type things, the ones that Moth told you were shoving these weird egg things down the throats of the others, they're kicked back, their hands are up, and they're just croaking loudly. There's that music is coming from somewhere. You're not positive where. Somewhere in that room, you're certain, you just can't see it, right? You don't know what the source of it is, but that's the location. The other creatures, they seem to be almost exhausted from their exertions of flopping and gibbering and dancing in this, Widdershins type of circle. They're just down panting. The ground is slimy, everything's wet, and that fishing, nauseating odor is just emanating heavily out of here. So let's do an official initiative this time around, and we'll see how we do. God, I can't roll. All right, Nat, where are you at?
13.
Nat's at 13. Lore?
10.
10? Toad?
4.
4?
Yeah.
And you think that's bad?
Yeah. What do you have?
3.
3. Oh my God. Okay.
And the
Moth
rogue
is
springs
at
into
3.
action.
Jesus. Okay. Rev, where are you?
15.
15. All right. Wow. I have a chart that goes from 30 down to 10. I'm like, no one will run to that. Well, most of you. So anyway, here we go. Reverend Cat, what's your move? You're first up.
How far away is this ritual taking place?
About 80 feet.
Did you say 80?
80.
I'm going to look right at the center of it and cast silence.
Oh. Do we get a save against that, or is that just gonna hit us?
It just hits.
Oh my God. Why did I give you that spell? That was just stupid of me. For the duration, no sound can be created within or pass through a 20-foot radius sphere. Centered on a point you choose within range. Holy crap, you got a range of 120 feet. Damn. Boom. Any creature or object entirely inside the sphere, which is all of the creatures, the monsters, all right, are deafened while entirely inside of it. So you hit them with that. The immediate shock reaction is what? Because all the chanting, the croaking, the extolling to the higher or lower demonic power ends, and they look around completely in shock. The creatures with the large tiara headdress things, they look around in a panic. The one with the largest headdress, obviously some sort of chieftain, that whole tiara, touches a a bizarre conch shell looking medallion on his chest and holds his hand out. There's a sparkle of magic just kind of crackles off of his hand like a spark thrower, but no effect. Your spell still stays there. He pulls a conch shell off his chest and crushes it to the floor in rage, unable to counteract the spell. Nat, your turn.
I've got one question about, is it bonus actions in
Yes.
in 5e? Do I have to use that on my turn, or is that on someone else's turn?
That's on your turn.
Okay.
Or a reaction would be on someone else's turn.
Gotcha. Okay. Are we close enough for him to use a sleep spell?
What's the range of that? Let me check.
90.
Yeah, you are. It's within 80 feet.
So he's going to do a song of slumber for these guys.
Oh, you bastards.
Is that 5d8? Is that right?
Yes. I love the attack/save. None. Urgh, curse you.
Makes the GM angry. Find another die here. $27.
Good Lord. Okay.
Yeah. And for his bonus action, that he'll tack onto the end of that song of slumber, some bardic inspiration.
Okay.
Somebody around me has an inspiration die. Maybe
who do you want to give it to?
Who's going next?
Next after you use lore.
Lore. Give it to lore.
Well, you might want to give it to somebody else, because if I'm casting spells, I don't remember if does that do anything for spells?
It can,
but
I'll
tell you what, is Moth gone yet?
No, Moth goes much later.
I'll give it
much later.
I'll give it to Moth. Presumably he's going to use a bow and arrow or something like that. So
okay, perfect.
He gets an inspiration die.
All right, so that sleep spell took out 4 of the 8 underlings, the ones that were panting and exhausted from their exertions. 4 of them, basically, between the exhaustion and everything else, they succumb to the spell and they are down. The other 1, 2, 3, 4 of them look, again, panic. They don't quite know what's going on. They can't hear anything because of the silent spell. So they're at a loss. Lore, you are next.
So we have the underlings and we have the priests?
Yes, there are 4 priests, 1 high priest, and 4 underlings who are still conscious. So 8 total.
So are the priests clustered, or are they spread out?
They're in a circle, or a square, because there's only 4 of them, around the hanging people in the center. So there's people hanging in the middle, and around them are the priests.
Okay. And the underlings are down below? Or
the underlings are around them on a concentric circle just outside.
Okay.
So it's on a flat plane, so it's just a floor here. You know, the chains, first circle, second circle. It's like a bullseye.
Well, I'm going to do another sleep spell, then targeting the most that I can in an area. If I can get some of the priests, that's what I would target.
Okay.
Okay, so it's a 90-foot range, and then it's a 20-foot.
Yep, you'll catch them.
Point. Okay, and I'm actually going to cast that as a second level spell, so that means I get 2 additional D8.
Oy, oy, oy.
$36 altogether.
Jesus. Wow. All right. The other 4 underlings and 1 of the priests fall down. There are 3 priests still standing. All right.
Nice.
All right. So let's do this. So these guys. All right. At this point, they're looking around. They could see down the tunnel, right? So that's they look up, they look down, they look around, and they spot the group of you down there. So the first thing that happens is they are going to have to move. So when they start moving out, it looks like a person takes a step and then they start hopping like a frog, like this weird little bunny type of hop. When they step forward, that front hands go down and they bounce, almost like a bounding motion. It takes them a little bit to get outside the silence spell, right? So that's their first movement, is they get out. When they get out of that, there's only 3 that are left standing. The head priest stands up and he points at the group. His tiara, his crown glows. The other 4 crowns, even the one that's asleep right now, glow. and all of you who can see clearly from here, but the other 3 priests, their bodies start to shrivel and just kind of like just twist up and knot up as he's draining. His tiara glows super bright. He points a finger at you, and there's a massive explosion right in the middle of you. It's a fireball. So everyone, dexterity save, please.
$19 for Toad.
Yep, you just need a 15 or higher to save.
18 for Nat.
18 for Lore.
18 for Moth.
I did 20 points of damage. You take half if you saved. So 20 for a miss and 10 for save. Whoomp!
Damn, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
I'm down.
Yeah.
So that high priest cast that spell. The tiara he wears, the large, tall, crazily pointed thing, that thing is still glowing, this nasty eldritch yellow-green glow. All the other ones, the other priests that had the lesser tiaras, are just faded. That light is just slowly extinguishing out, and their bodies are just dried up. Looks like you took a dead frog, threw it on the street. It just kind of husks out to nothing. That's what they look like, those little desiccated mummy things. All right. Toad, your turn.
All right. I think I should take out that high priest.
Nah, it's good. Give me another round. Sorry.
Well, don't worry. I'm not going to take him out this time. I'm pretty sure. I think I'll just Eldritch Blast him again. Well, not again. I'll Eldritch Blast him. So let's see if that hits. That's a 13 to hit.
Got him.
Nice. Okay, so that's a D10. And that's 10 damage.
All right, hold on a second. I want to make sure I've got this. What spell you're casting?
Eldritch Blast.
Eldritch Blast. That's a spell, not a whatever. So he's going to.
Yeah. It's
all right. So the tiara, the high spiky tiara he wears, flashes and he counterspells, and it just disappears. The eldritch, it kind of crackles out there, gets close, and just evaporates in front of him. Used a reaction, disappears. Moth, your turn.
Yo. So, I feel sorry for Reverend Cat and all, but I am going to make my movement action as far up the tunnel as possible.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to fire my bow. I would like to call a shot, if you know what I mean. I'd like to fire at the tiara.
Oh, okay. You want to try to take the tiara off his head?
A crown of sorts? Like
yeah.
A tall crown?
Yes.
I'll see if you can. As big as possible. You know what I mean? It's a massive crown that's sitting about 3 foot tall on top of his head. Yeah? That's what you said.
Yeah. So you want to give it a twang and see if we can take it down. All right. Give me a roll. Got to roll high.
And I've got Bardic Inspiration as well.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So what is that? That's a D.
That's 1d6 as well, is it?
D6, yeah.
Yeah, D6.
So that is 22 without the d6. I've got to think.
I gave it an AC of 20. I'm like, oh, you got that. So, okay.
Plus 6 from the Bardic Inspiration.
Yeah. So, whack. The short bow sings. The arrow comes out. Pack. It hits that thing. It makes a pow sound, right? As it basically rips off the top of this creature's head. There's a chunk of flesh, like a big, like a flap comes up as it peels off like a nasty Band-Aid. This creature screams and shrieks, but the crown clang hits the ground behind him. He seems horribly diminished, right? He was big and powerful, the glow and everything, and now he just seems to kind of shrunk into himself. There's not as much juice left in the old boy. Reverend Cat, your turn.
I guess I make a death save.
Got it? No? My last guess, boys.
Not the healer.
Nat, what are you doing?
So this is a lot going on. There's fireballs and eldritch spells and all the rest. But when the Reverend goes down, And correct me if I'm wrong, guys. For 5e, you don't choose spells in advance, right? You have spell uses per level. Is that
Pretty
right?
much. Yep.
Okay, so I'm gonna use Cure Wounds on the Reverend. Does that
will stabilize him?
That will stabilize him.
Yep.
Okay.
We'll bring the Reverend back to 0, so you can talk, Rev, and that's about it.
Okay, so he kneels down and he does that.
Okay, that is the man who saved your leg. So
tit for tat.
Exactly. So that's Nat. Laura.
All right, I'm going to cast Magic Missile at 2nd level. It'll be my last spell slot at 2nd level at the priest.
Okay.
And I don't know how you do Magic Missile. Do you want me to roll 1 for all of them? Because this will give me 4 bolts or
Sure.
4 darts.
That's usually how I do it.
Or do you want me to roll for each?
I usually roll for each, just for fun.
Okay. Yeah, I like it that way too, but some people don't. But
I got time.
So that's for 16 force damage.
Nice.
Okay. All right. That whacks out. Whack, 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 whack. Right. The bolt hit him. It staggers. The poor critter. Right. This horrible abomination is like shrunken and looks up. It's beat down and whatnot. The spells hit it. It looks up. One of its eyes is kind of all milking over. It's got blood running out of its mouth. It bleats and brays and croaks and reaches out with his right hand at Lore and crushes his fist like this, like he's trying to do something to it. Lore, I'd like you to make a wisdom saving throw, please.
That's a 15.
15. You got it. Okay, he was trying to do hold person on you. No good. He reached out. He's trying to grasp you. You just slough it off. The creature starts backing up, and his backup turns pretty much into a full-out run at this point. He's far enough away. He's at range distance, right? No one's close with him. He tries his hold person spell. It doesn't work. Takes 1 5-foot back and then just turns and books it. He's trying to run back into the chamber. All right, so that's there. That was Laura. That's bad. Toad.
All right. So the priest is running away from us.
Yes.
How far is he, roughly?
At this point, he's probably 40 feet.
Oh, okay. That's easy. Well, let's. None of these. I think Eldritch Blast is still my best bet. So how many other priests are up still, or other creatures?
None up.
They're all down.
Everything else is either asleep or dead.
Okay. And I don't want to wake them up because I have some area attack, but that would not be good. So yeah, I'll just zap the priest as he tries to hightail it out of there.
Go for it.
And that's probably a miss. That's a 7.
Yes, that will crackle over his head. It keeps down. It just keeps flopping down as quick as he can, running from you. Moth.
Yep. So I'd like to make another 30 feet kind of towards the chamber. I'm probably nearing the end of that tunnel.
Yes.
Yeah, and fire a bow at him again.
Go. Moth, from your position, he's clearly trying to get to the stairs to get out.
Yep.
Or at least heading in that direction. Where the stairs are, there's the wheel and there's the bit of the river that flows underground. So he's either heading for the sticks or he's heading for the stairs up.
11.
11 will not hit. That arrow wings over the top of it. He's got a rubbery, leathery hide, right? So it kind of flaps across his shoulder. Doesn't seem to do much. He just keeps booking it. Reverend.
Am I able to heal myself?
Yes, physician, you may heal thyself.
Okay, I will. Is anybody else hurt in our group?
A lot of us are hurt.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, right. Okay. So I will heal everybody for 3 points.
Laura's also hurt emotionally, just in case somebody cares.
Thank you.
He's very upset.
I'm about 60 feet away. I guess that I'm not in that group.
Probably not. I think you're outside that realm.
30 feet. Yeah. So
Sucks to be me.
I'm taking the extra hit points.
I'm taking it, goddammit. Nat, your turn.
So they're all down except for the one who's. How long before he's out of sight up the stairs?
1
round, 2 rounds.
If he Yeah, if you don't stop him now on his turn, which is first is you, then Lore, then him, he'll make the stairs and be out, or in the river, or whatever it is he's doing.
Okay. Charm person's too short, 30 feet. He's just going to get up and advance towards where the people are manacled and start unmanacling them.
Okay. A couple of them are clearly dead. One of them
manacle them.
I was going to say, the ones that are dead, though, you walk up, you can see the desiccated face, the eyes rolled back. They're dead. There's no breathing. However, the clothing and the tissue of their stomach, it continues to writhe and twist like they've got a huge gut full of worms, and it kind of bulges and whatnot. So they're busy. There's something going on in there. The ones that are alive, when you come to them, they have this look in their eyes. The one opens his mouth and this horrible egg thing flops out, which you crush. And the other one is just saying, "Kill me, kill me, kill me now."
All right. Nat's not got that in him. So he's, based on some of his other beliefs and whatnot, he's a good person. So he's not gonna. He's kind of look to the others like, what do we do with these folks? He's speechless. I'll put it that way, which is rare. Yep.
Lore, what are you doing? Lore, what do you want to do?
Yep. I'm going to use a first level magic missile on the priest before he gets away.
Got him.
And that is 9 total force damage.
Okay. That hits him. It does not drop him. He gets up to the base. He gets up to the base of the stairs, and he just dives. Instead of diving onto the stairs, he dives into the river. The river is about shoulder deep on him, so he jumps into the river Styx, and he starts kind of doggy paddling his way with the current, trying to make his way. Now, when you get, and you can see it, right? So there's the wheel, the big wheel that turns. I should say like this because the river's flowing this way. So the wheel cranks through. He's in here trying to go out to the wall, right? So the river's going to go through a wall. There's the arched place. He's trying to head towards it. He's obviously not doing well. He's got a weird gait as he walks, hops, flops around anyway, but he's pretty damn beat up. So let's see. Toad, your turn. You can still see the top of his head in the water.
Okay. How close can I get within my move and still be able to take an action? Can I get within 60 feet of him?
Oh, easily. Yes.
Okay. So I'll move up and then he's in the water, right? And his head is his head is bobbing in there. I'm wondering whether I would have based on what I know about my spell, Frostbite, do I think I would be able to somehow zap the water and make it freeze around him to slow him down? Otherwise, I'm just going to Eldritch Blast him.
Let's see here.
I mean, it is meant to target a creature. So
yeah. The problem is the water's moving. If you were in a still pond or something like that, you could conceivably make a ring of ice around him and halt his movement or make it very difficult. But it's flowing river, so it's not going to work as well for you.
Yeah, that's all right. I will just Eldritch Blast him, and I'm just not going to miss this time. So that's the plan.
Kill the river just a little tiny bit.
So all right,
a little depth of river. Yes,
that's a 22 to hit.
Oh, you got him.
We got 5 points of damage.
All right. The Eldritch Blast crackles across. Just as it hits, his whole body just kind of transforms and twists and turns, and it's an old man. It's this old guy, looks like a shopkeeper anywhere. He looks at you, his eyes get huge, and then Eldritch Blast hits him right in the face. Boom! And just blows the back of his skull completely open. He's dead, and he just floats underneath the wall.
Nice. Poor guy.
Well done.
So back in the tunnel, you guys have Nat looking at these bodies. He's like, I don't know what to do.
Yes, he is.
Moth, you were intent on trying to save one of the thieves.
Yeah. Can I shout back? Like, I'm closest to the floating body, and before it hits the water wheel, I just want to shout, does anybody want that? Because if nobody wants it, I'm willing to let it go under the paddles.
It seems like nobody's interested.
Fair enough. I'll, murder everybody who's down here.
All right. So he's making his way across the sleeping fuckers.
Anybody who's asleep isn't asleep anymore.
Well, it's a long sleep, really. The final sleep, as it were. All right. So dead.
And then I guess I want to make my way back up to the thieves and pull them out of the wall and see how well they are.
The folks in the wall, the only two people left alive, and they're both begging to be killed right now, are the two thieves. The griffins, the two that you assume to be noblemen's bodyguards, they're dead. As I said, though, underneath their shirts, their stomach tissue, everything's just kind of bulging and pussing and writhing within it, like you've got a big bag full of snakes.
Are we in initiative order still?
We can be. Reverend Cat, your turn.
Okay.
Moth was last anyway, so it's back to you.
I was thinking I would try to collect the bodies of the recently deceased, say a quick prayer, and see if we can't start them on fire.
Okay. When you look, Reverend, of the recently deceased, you look down there, all of those frog fish people that are dead, that are either magically slain, arrows in them, or stabbed, they're all in forms of transformation. They're returning to a human-like form. They all look worn and elderly, and they've been doing this, whatever it is. That there's no young person here, no children, no adolescents or anything like that. It's all elderly. They all look like the human forms that they're taking look like people who are kind of in the last part of their life.
What about the people who are hanging by chains?
Yeah, those are the ones I meant.
Oh, those? Yeah, while you're doing that, Rev, I'm just telling you the rest of the monster bodies are transforming as well. The ones that are hanging, yeah, you could say a prayer and burn those easily enough. As you do that, there is the sound of it's like if you took fish eggs, threw them in a skillet, right? So it pops and cracks like popcorn. So it's popping, and there's this nasty fish frying oil spatter smell of rancid butter, and you cook through that. It's quite disgusting. There's not a lot of airflow down here either.
Thanks.
Moth, by the time you get up to the two thieves, they're in a bad way. They are literally asking to be killed.
I might accommodate them in a minute, but can I cut open their shirts first to see what's going on? Are we talking about heaving bodies?
Oh yeah. Once you cut open a shirt, and the stomach area on them is bulging. It's almost translucent, like when a frog expands its throat, right? When it rivets, it's got the huge nasty you could see inside of it. Their stomach tissue is expanded so far, the skin is translucent enough. You can see these bulging egg-like sacs inside of it, just kind of writhing and twisting and straining against the confines of what's left of this person's stomach.
I kind of want to check with Toad. He's got a dark frame of mind. I'm indicating with the dagger. I could cut from here to here and see what happens.
I guess in the name of science, I could support that.
I want to try and get their names out of them first. I want to come back to
Mariah.
And say that I spoke to them before they unfortunately passed away.
Yep, it's Feather and Shiv are the two thieves.
If nobody's going to stop me, I'm going to stick in a knife kind of high in the chest and slit down to the groin.
Reverend's like, hey, no. Reverend, hand on the dagger. No, please.
I'm okay with you putting them out of their misery because I don't think there's any way we can save them.
Yeah.
I don't know about performing emergency surgery on them.
Kill them first.
At least. I think we're better off just ending their misery and putting them on the pyre.
I'll take one of them. I'll hold my hand on it and give it a like a sacred flame to put it out of its misery.
Okay. Scorch one. Moth. you
I
wanna-
clap my hand on the back of the other guy's neck. I nod my forehead to his forehead. I say, I mean, I'll see you later, and I'll slit his throat.
Done.
And while this is all going on, I'm going to go see if I can grab that large tiara and stick it in my pack.
give me a stealth check just to see how you do.
17.
Oh, you got that. It's big, it's bulky, but it fits in there. Yeah. So you've got two. You got one for you and a promising acolyte, if that's what you're into.
Or, you know,
Ah, yes, or money, one of the others. You evil bastard. All right. So once the bodies, you've got them cooked, you've stomped, smashed, burned, charred up all the. It stinks down here. By the time you guys, my assumption is they'll be in a complete investigation. Is that the idea?
Yes, please.
Sounds good.
Also, is Karen the rat catcher down here?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she's dead.
Sucks to be her.
Yep.
The ones that were hanging on the
loose ends.
chain.
Yeah, the ones that are hanging on the chain are all dead too. The ones that were hanging on the chain were further along the metamorphosis angle, but they're dead.
Yeah, I just want to burn all the bodies.
So yeah, by the time you guys ever leave here, you will stink like burnt hair, piss, fish guts. This is gonna be terrible.
So an unmitigated success then.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah.
We smell like demon killers.
See, exactly.
50
So-
silver.
50 silver for this. Fuck yeah! What a great deal. Next time, double my price.
Do any of the people, did any of them seem familiar by any chance? Like, did I recognize any of them?
The Griffins you would have recognized. They were locals to the area. Most of them were. The only two that you guys wouldn't know are the two bodyguards from the noble that chase the thieves in here. Everyone else is from the neighborhood or in the surrounding neighborhood that you've seen at least 2-3 times.
Oh,
At
okay.
least.
I'm just curious. Maybe I'll try to remember some of them, and if it comes up, I can maybe investigate in the future to try to understand how they ended up here. Right? Was something weird happening? Did they make did they do? Yeah, basically to get a sense of whether they voluntarily ended up in this situation, right? Maybe with a promise of everlasting life or something, or
Okay.
whether they were captured. So I'll try to just remember who was down here.
Got it. So the rest of the brewery itself, there is no sign of any musical instruments of any kind. There is no organ. There's no anything, which is odd. The smell, of course, is at this point you guys are kind of bored with it. It's just nasty, and you're used to it. There, let's see here. All signs that you can find are that these creatures apparently came in through the waterway and set up shop here. They use the traps and stuff around the building, but you don't have any, there's no like documents or a plan of attack or where did they come from. All of the creatures that transform back into these elderly people, you don't recognize them. They're not from around here, right? So the people that were chained to the wall or hanging from the chain in the middle for the transmogrification process, those folks you recognize, but these elderly ones, the ones that were transformed from the horrible fish people, those you don't recognize at all.
Yeah, those were the ones I was I mentioned. Okay,
Yeah.
that's good to know.
Yeah.
Is there still a sound of pipes?
Nope. All gone. Dead quiet now.
Good, good.
So that's the end of it. So at the tail end here, I'm assuming those of you who wish your 50 silver can go back and get it.
Correct.
No problem there.
With a
And,
little donation, maybe?
Maybe from Nat.
Maybe from
Hey!
that. Yeah, Nat owes you. Nat owes you still.
He does not.
Very good.
There'll be a donation though.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that's
So-
what I had. That's what I
Are-
had set up for today. So what do you got a question?
I was just going to say, final scene of Nat will be at
Yeah.
the river, looking into the river, thinking of that Aboleth story, kind of like, and
I
then
wonder if I get down there.
leaving, right?
So what I usually do at the tail end of Reverend Cat, what do you see you doing after this is done? Get your silver and leave the neighborhood, or what do you do?
No, I think I'm pretty well entrenched in the neighborhood. So, you mean the neighborhood with the brewery?
Yeah, I mean, is it kind of what does this change? Would this change how Reverend Cat behaves in the area? Does he say "fuck this, I
No.
leave," or no?
No, I don't think so. I mean, as pragmatic and borderline con man as he can be, I think he is a true believer, and he believes in helping the neighborhood. So I think he would try to parlay it into big stories to get donations that he could maybe start to run some other cons to help distribute money.
Got it. Okay, very good. Laura, what is he gonna do? What's his plan with his misgotten gains there?
I think he would try to not just try to turn it into money is not as the thing that he's most interested in, but if he could somehow turn this into knowledge that could be converted into more magical ability, either through items that he could acquire or through more spells that he could put in a spell book.
Yeah, he could easily present such items as a bartering tool towards one of the magical colleges type of thing, one of the wizarding schools, speaking to other people, using it as a pass to get access to something. I'll show you this crown if you let me have that spell type of thing.
Cool.
Very cool. Yep. Toad, what would Toad be doing next?
Yeah, I mean, he certainly collects his share as well. Might donate 1 silver and then keep the rest to himself. And
Hey, donation!
And I don't know. He's a little. This was definitely weird, but at the same time, he's seen and experienced weirder things, and so he's gonna try to commune with his dark patron and maybe find ways to become more powerful himself, and just keep growing along his path.
Okay. And Moth, what would be your next thing after you went through all this? What does that do? Does it change you or any angles?
Within the group, I would say quietly to Toad and Lore that I was never here, and I'd say loudly to the Reverend and to Nat that I wasn't here and keep my name out of it. I want to hit the Rat Catchers Guild and tell them, and I want to hit up Mariah and let her know that there is no hope, that those people are gone. But I'll go back to work. It's not going to change me or what I do. Another day.
But you do have some favors now, right? So after that day in the office, you've got Mariah owes you one, the Rat Catchers Guild owe you.
That's the way the business works. You get little angles, little pieces of information are valuable, and little pieces of information can be parlayed into other little pieces of information later on.
Very nice. Very cool. Awesome. All right, guys. Thank you very much. I hope.
Can Nat do one final view?
Yeah, of course. Go for it, man.
So we see him collect his money. He's got enough to pay off his debts. But instead of doing that, he spends the next week busking around town, wasting every bit of it, writing songs about our exploits, naming everybody involved, and then waking up basically penniless and hungover in some random inn. Doesn't even know where he is. So
I love that. Yeah,
not much has changed.
Not much has changed. Back to normal for you.
Yep.
Oh, awesome. So, all right, guys, thank you very much. I hope you had fun. I know.
This is great.
I know it's different.
Awesome.
It's not a. I don't run my Avalon game like a traditional dungeon crawly type of thing. So I wanted a little bit something different. So I hope it was fun.
That was great. Thanks so much.
Thank you, guys.
I like the Lovecraft.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna ask. I steal liberally from the Shadows over Innsmouth, right? Croaking, braying, bleeding, tiaras, blasphemous fish frog things. I'd try to twist it up a little bit as to the transformative nature of it all, but
sure. Yeah, that's my favorite H.P. Lovecraft story.
Is it? Oh, it's a good one. It's one of my favorites.
Is this a scenario that you run very often?
I have run. This is the third time. The first time I did it, I ran with Sean and Wayne and Joe Swick, another patron friend of the show, and I did it differently. I used an aboleth. Actually, Wayne's daughter was playing with us too. I used an aboleth as the main adversary. It was kind of like, it was okay. I liked it. Then I retooled that and I put that into the Avalon stuff that we had in the Kickstarter, and I wanted to do something different. I love the idea of a fish story as a title. So then, believe it or not, I watched Animated Spellbook by Z Bashu. He had one on the Kuatoa because they're god makers. And I'm like, ooh, that's it. That's the idea. So that I just twisted. And then I ran this particular approach for the first time at GameWorld last year in 2019 and went over pretty well.
Yeah, great.
They did things differently. I upped the tiara effect and I changed the layout of the place of the trying a catwalk thing instead of multiple floors and different approaches. I'm toying with the physical layout of the building type of thing. This worked out just as well, so I don't know which one I like better. But I wasn't sure what would happen. I'm like, yeah, the tiara is a source of like some transformative powers and all that stuff. And and when I was like, oh fuck it, I'll just shoot the tiara off its head. I'm like, well, it's got an AC of 20. Good luck. Oh, look at that, son of a bitch. There it goes. That leveled the playing field like right frickin' now. That was a big move. That was very big. That was cool. That was a lot of fun.
Fireball would have taken us all out, I think. So that's good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, even with the save, I had 1 hit point left. So
Did you? Oh wow.
Wow.
Nasty. That was pretty close. So let's see. So just so everybody knows, outside of this group, I'm Brett from Gaming and BS. We're on Twitch. Sean and I do our Gaming BS podcast every Monday at 8 p.m. Central Time. So if you're on Twitch, you want to watch us there, you can. Let's see here. Nat Harrigan, where can people find you if anybody wants to razz you?
I'm on your forums. It's mostly it. If anybody plays on tavernkeeper.com, the play-by-post site, I hang out there a lot. I'm an admin there, but that's about it.
Cool. Robert?
people can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Nolabert. I'm on the forum too for Gaming and BS.
Awesome. Mirko?
Yeah, I'm on the Gaming NBS forum as well as Digital Hobbit, and in general, Digital Hobbit on most social media is going to be me. Otherwise, search for my name. I have an RPG blog, rpg.digitalhobbit.com. That's been kind of dormant, but I'm thinking of maybe posting more actively again. So we'll see.
Well, since you're stuck at home like the rest of us, you might as well kick it into gear, right?
Exactly.
Niall, if anybody wanted to find you or razz you anywhere, can they locate you?
Oh, no. Don't come looking for me.
Oh, okay. Totally legitimate answer.
I am glib comment on the forum, and that'll do you.
That sounds good. Tony, anywhere you want to send people to? Anything?
No, I think I'm just on the forums. I don't social media very much.
No, that's fine. We actually have a pretty active forum community. Like, every one of you guys have been in there and stuff, and I think it's a damn good time to like hanging out there, checking out things. So cool. And I'm going to say one last thank you, Sean, my podcast partner, Sean Kelly. Thank you very much for doing all the streaming crap so the rest of us could focus on the game. So thank you, Sean. Without you, dude, I couldn't do this. So thanks, man. Appreciate it. We good, Sean? And we're done.